Good afternoon and welcome to Musgrave Park for this Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final. The competition's two most successful teams with 61 titles between them. Loughorn's PBC from Wilton and Sydney Hills CBC. The game kicks off at 2 p.m. and we'll have full live commentary with Duncan Williams, Johnny Holland and myself, Darragh Frawley, with special comments from Don Lennon on the touchline. We'll have full cast and analysis to come. But before we get to that, we spoke to two Schools Cup and Munster legends, Billy Holland and Alex Kendellen.
What memories do you have of Schools Cup final day?
My abiding memory of that is that I actually injured my shoulder 7 days before, and I did my AC joint, and I couldn't really lift my shoulder at all. So we're kind of 7 days before what I thought was at the time was the biggest day of my life, which it was at the time. It was all about it, and I was in an awful panic. So getting physio the whole time in the lead into it, and so things were a little bit different back then. My dad was friends with a doctor who will name nameless, and he was happy to put a local anaesthetic into my shoulder before the game, which thinking back, I'm 17 years old. I've got an AC joint injury. I can't really move my shoulder. Let's put some local anaesthetic, which isn't. I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore. Into my shoulder, so that was fine. Played the first half, and I remember the first half of the game. Some fella stood in my face, and kind of gone. You very quickly forget about your shoulder when you realise you're in the midst of a battle. We were playing Prez in the final, and it was going grand. The thing started wearing off. So if you could picture the chip van in Musgrave Park at half time, we went into the dressing room, and I was taken out of the dressing room, brought behind the chip van by my father and the said doctor, and injected my shoulder again with local anaesthetic. So it's kind of a wonder that I didn't have any lasting damage from that. I desperately wanted that. It was obviously an okay thing to do at the time. And thankfully we won the game. For me, there was so much going on around the game that I don't have a great recollection of the match itself. I've greater recollection of other games, but it's just my abiding memory really is the energy and the noise and the carnival festival atmosphere at the game, and the huge pressure on the players, particularly at a young age, to perform in front of a big crowd, and you're representing your school and your family, and you feel like it's life or death. And
For sure. What impression have you of the two teams, I suppose, from watching them through the rounds?
Yeah, I think I know Christians have a lot of injury concerns. There's a lot of guys who are out injured. I think they've 5 guys who'd probably be involved in the team if they weren't injured, and that's a lot. That's a lot of guys to be out, but they have, I think, showed great resilience throughout the campaign. Christians having beaten Prez in the first round, and then that drawn game where they managed to go up to Limerick and kind of reverse that momentum, where they in the semi-final they had really struggled in the last quarter of the game and were on the back foot. You kind of thought they might struggle at the start of the replay, but they turned the tide there and they comprehensively won. I thought they were excellent. And then you look at Prez, and Prez started off with a loss. I think their trajectory has been very much like this since then. And that game against Munchins, they played both teams played fantastic rugby, and I think they're 35-12 up or something, maybe going into the last quarter, Prez, and they played great rugby, but then they showed fantastic resilience to keep Munchins out at the end of the game. So I think both teams are in a good vein of form. I think they both play a good style of rugby, and they're both ambitious, and there's plenty of rivalry. So it's very much on the day. This is the thing with Cup rugby at any level. It's on the day. Form, while it's helpful, it does go out the window. Who's the better team on paper, it kind of goes out the window. It's about who turns up on the day and who puts their hand up and performs on the day in a strenuous position in front of so many people. So it's hard to know.
And if I push you for a prediction, are you going to back Christians?
Absolutely, yeah. Christians for the win. That's my prediction. No, look, I think two really good teams, good players on both sides, and there's going to be a group of lads really, really, really disappointed, and a group of lads really, really happy on Tuesday, and it's sometimes it's a flick of a coin. It'd be small moments in the game, and I hope the guys. I hope Christians win, but I hope the team that doesn't win, can be proud of what they've done, and some of the rugby that both teams have played over the campaign is fantastic, and that they can continue to play rugby into the future and continue to play club rugby or kick on with Munster, whatever it is.
Alex, 2020 Munster Senior Cup share champion and 2019 finalist as well. What are your memories of, I suppose, the final and the build up to the finals, albeit one COVID disrupted?
Yeah, no, the 2019 one was a good build up. It's like I said earlier, it's playing with your best buddies, it's playing with your best mates, going through the exact same thing they're going through with study and all that kind of stuff, and you're training alongside a lad who's doing the exact same thing as you. The stress of leaving certain stuff like that. So they're moments you look back on and crack a smile.
Sure. And what will the players be feeling in that kind of half hour before the big match with the crowd there? How did they deal with that? What was that?
No doubt they'll be nervous. I was a nervous wreck before all my school cup games, but no, I'm sure once they get out onto the pitch, they'll have the crowd behind them, and I'm sure they'll showcase their ability.
And Gerberk, what will he bring? What will his final message be to them, do you think?
Go out and enjoy the moment, I think. These moments don't come around too often, and I think you got to enjoy them. You got to do it with a smile on your face.
And what does he bring as a coach? What kind of, he likes to play a good style of expansive style of rugby, I know.
Yeah, 100%. Him and Cian Bohan have really took it to the next level with schools rugby. It's nearly like a professional setup down there now at this stage. But yeah, as you said, they like to play expansive rugby, but then they've got that big pack in front of them as well, which is always good to see in a Pres team.
What does it feel like playing in a city rivalry against Christians as a Pres man?
Yeah, it's everything growing up. You come into Pres in first year, and all you want to do is get one over on the rivals up the road. It's they're always special games, and they're really enjoyable, and I'm sure the lads will have a ball representing their school.
And what are your impressions, I suppose, of the two teams from what you've seen and heard of them?
Yeah, two very good teams. Watched a few of the games in the build up to this game. Obviously watched that Christians and Pres game. Bit of a tough watch towards the end, but no, I think hopefully Pres can come out the better side of this one. I think they have all the right skills and the right coaches to put them in that place to hopefully lift that cup on Paddy's Day.
And yeah, I suppose I was going to push you for a prediction, but I presume you're going to back your lads to get one over, get revenge.
Yeah, 100%. I'll be in the Pres corner, I think.
For sure. Perfect. Cheers to that, Alex.
I'll go.
Very welcome back to Musgrave Park in the build-up to this Pinergy Munster Schools Senior Cup final. Joining me this afternoon, the half-back pairing of Duncan Williams and Johnny Holland. Duncan, your old teammate Billy Holland, speaking about the final in 2003. Occasions like this are not hard to forget. Tell us a little bit about that game in 2003.
Yeah, it was a cracker of a game. It was actually here as Paddy's Day like it used to be, and there was I think 8,000 or 9,000 people here. Went down to the final whistle, had it all. Martin Gately, the prop for Pres, had a crossfield kick just outside their 22 that if they gathered they would have gone in and scored to win, but luckily we managed to hold on and win it. But it was a great occasion. I think it was two very good teams. We made up the majority of the Munster Schools actual squad that year, so I'd say there was 12 to 13 of us playing it that were in the Munster Schools team, so we knew each other very well. A few of us went on to play for Ireland schools, and a few of us went on to the academies and play for Munster after, so we knew each other very well. That's when we started, I suppose, building relationships and becoming friends with people as well. So it was a great occasion. All our families was here. I said 8,000 or 9,000 people here, and it was a great spectacle as well.
We're going to be close on that number again today. Johnny Holland, we heard Alex Kendellen saying the sense of occasion. He's gone on to play with Munster, but he still has fond memories, even though one of the trophies was shared with Christians due to COVID and he was beaten in a 2019 final. But today it looks like it's no difference, and we're in for an absolute belter.
An absolute belter is right, and you can see the crowd is starting to fill up here. The atmosphere is brilliant already. I didn't play Schools Cup. I played with a lot of fellas who did, and they're still talking about it. There's fellas in the club that they're long past it and they still talk about their schools days. So it's something that, like you said there, it does stick with you. Win, lose or draw. Draw, unfortunately they shared a cup at one stage, but fellas talk about how they lost one in the corner, how they won one, who scored. who messed up. They still talk about it, so a great occasion, but hopefully it'll be remembered by these lads for the right reasons.
There are plenty of people still dining out on Senior Cup wins that are well past it. Johnny Holland, I won't name a few. Duncan, it's a perfect track. It's a perfect day for it. No real signs of nerves, but based on the semi-final qualifier between Christians and Prez, where Christians came back, this one feels like it's going to go to the wire, and it's not trying to sell a game. We really do feel like this is going to be a big one.
Yeah, I think if you look at both the semi-finals, I think they both had a lead and ended up getting clawed back. So, I think the lesson there is you got to keep playing. It's not just about winning the first half. You got to keep playing every 5-10 minutes, and you got to keep looking to score and win. I don't think you can go out with the attitude of trying not to lose. You've got to go out and try and win the game. And to be fair to Prez, they look to move the ball. They've some good game breakers, and a shock to see O'Connor, O'Leary in the centre. Same with Christians. Danny Rock had a great game in the semi-final. He moved from 7 to 8. Obviously, Adam Rona scored a couple of tries. He's out this week. And Ben Lynch at fullback, he's been very calm and composed for Christians. So, it's all the hallmarks of a good game.
Indeed it does. We'll continue our build-up here. I spoke to CBC's Tommy Crowe and Ger Burke a little bit earlier on. Tommy Crowe's Senior Cup final day in Cork. It doesn't come much bigger than this.
No. Look, it's Christians and Prez, always the big days out. It stirs a bit of local history and all of that, going back through years and years. But look, today it's its own game. We're looking forward to it and we're ready to go.
Talk to me about the team. 2 changes, one in the pack, one in the backline. Are they tactical or enforced?
Half and half, really. Yeah. Adam Rona, unfortunately, the hooker is out there through injury, and just a tactical switch then in the back line. But apart from that, we have everybody that we had in the replay.
Talk to me about the environment in Sydney Hill this week. What's the buzz been like around the school, the teachers? Was it tough to keep them under control?
No. We're looking forward to this. Have been now since 2019 was the last final we were in, and COVID kicked in then. So this is our first final, and the entire school is here, so it's great. The buzz in the school has just been immense all week. I'm ready, we're ready. And
in terms of the game against Prez 6 weeks ago, has it been tough to stay away from referencing that game? The fact that you came back from 12 points down, has that been referenced at all during the week?
Not really, no. We, that game we moved on very, very quickly. We had to face the task of Crescent there in the next game, so again, just a different challenge. The replay was something different then above Entombment, but we really haven't gone back that far, because I'd say all teams have improved in the meantime, so we've adjusted accordingly and we've learned from those experiences, and we're ready to push on now to the next one today.
Good luck, Tommy.
Thank you very much indeed.
Ger Burke, Senior Cup final day doesn't come much bigger than this. How have preparations been in Wilton this week?
Excellent. Took 1 or 2 injuries unfortunately, but we decided to go train full tilt. The only way you prepare for a final, the only way you prepare for Christian, so no, it's been good. Been very happy in preparation and we're excited.
In terms of the school itself, what's the buzz been like this week for the teachers, the parents? It's a special day to be a part of.
I think Brian McMahon, Games Master, came up to Wilton to us a while ago and just said, the school has happened. It's the best day in the calendar. Schools Cup final day. We're privileged to be here. Got a lovely text from Jarsla, head coach of Munchins, just saying how jealous they are. It's the best day of the year.
And in terms of the semi-final qualifier against Christians, we saw a big crowd that day. How important is it going to be to get the emotional pitch and the physical pitch right for your team?
This is Prez Christians. I don't know if you can get the emotional pitch right. It's going to be a titanic battle. It's going to be a war. And we've got to match that emotional energy they bring, that physicality they bring. But there's no point pretending it's not going to be an emotional day, because it is. It's trying to harness that in the right way and coming on the right side of it, which hopefully we will.
Yeah.
Years. I remember a long time ago when I walked into the doors of CBC first time. You see all the old photographs up on the wall, the cup-winning teams. You begin to learn very quickly that your greatest rival is only a half a mile over the city. It's incredible. It's really intense when you're involved in it, but it's amazing. I played in 2 finals against Prez. I beat an opponent who ended up, I was best man at his wedding and he was best man at my wedding. So it's a special day for the kids that are involved, for their families. You see the atmosphere here today, and it's something that a lot of them might never play at any level after. that stays with them for the rest of their lives.
Intro in, yeah. Yeah.
I think it's difficult.
It's all right. I won't throw the toys out of the plan. It's okay.
I think they're also conscious of that rivalry that you mentioned. 61 titles between them. I think Christians are one ahead at the moment.
When we come back in, Kieran, we'll go straight into teams. We'll do about 3 minutes on teams each. Then the teams are going in, so we've about 7. So
in January between the two sides, which you were at, how big of a bearing will that have on today's game? Obviously, Christians were 14 up at Prez were 14 up at half time, 11 up close to finish, and Christians came back and won it.
Yeah, they did. Look, I think a final takes on, its own stage. Christians, to be fair, they've lost their captain since that day. They've had a lot of injuries, so I think that slightly turns the balance with Prez. To be fair, I think Prez have played a fantastic brand of rugby, but regardless, even over the years, when one side was deemed to be so much better than the other, if you look at the score lines, you look at the margins at the game, they've nearly always been one-score games, so I think it'll be the exact same today.
Yeah, could I venture you for a prediction, a 32nd for Christians or a 31st for Prez?
Look, I'd like to think so. As I say, I think Prez are probably marginally favourites on the basis the two Novak, the twins, huge men, they haven't played for Christians in the championship. And, the captain McCarthy's a huge loss. So, I'd like to think Christians will prevail in the end, but it'll be very tight.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. Those are the thoughts of Donal Lennon here on the sideline. We'll throw back up to Dara. Thanks very much.
No, we had 25 line breaks in those 6 minutes. Yeah.
that was. They were the thoughts of Owen Cormacan and Donal Lenihan on the touchline as we build towards the kick-off in this Munster Schools Pinergy Senior Cup final. The teams this afternoon line out as follows: CBC, Benjamin Lynch, Christopher Barrett and Conor Foley make up the back three. Alex O'Connell and Gavin O'Riordan continue their partnership in the centre, with the orchestrator Charlie O'Shea at 10 and Jack Casey at half-back. Daniel Rock moves to 8 as he did in the semi-final in the absence of captain Éanna McCarthy. Oren Prenter and Mark Skelly at open side and blind side. The extremely impressive Michael Foy and Conor Kennelly are in the engine room for the Sydney Hill side, with Dennis Callahan, Stephen O'Shaughnessy and Sam Loftus captaining from Loosehead. George Good, Cian Walsh, Harry Foster, Michael Doyle, Johnny O'Shea, Joseph Barrett, Jack O'Callaghan, Evan Cahill Murphy, Ronan O'Keefe and Leo O'Leary make up the replacements for CBC. Duncan Williams, we spoke about CBC's team there. There's a lot of quality in that side this afternoon, but notably Adam Rona and Éanna McCarthy are missing. How big a loss are they for Christians?
Yeah, big losses, as we said. Adam Rona got a couple of tries in each of the last couple of rounds, I think. Éanna McCarthy, obviously big ball carrier, was doing a lot of damage around the breakdown, getting a lot of poaches. Obviously I think he was a captain as well originally, so big loss there. But to be fair, Danny Rock moved to 8 in the semi, did a great job there. I think Michael Foy actually moved there in the quarters and did a great job there. Michael Foy, very athletic guy, he covered 60 metres, got back in a poach in the semi-final against Crescent inside their own 22, so he'll obviously pick up a bit of workload there, and I'd like to see him get on the ball a bit more as well.
The PBC team lines out as follows: Ben O'Connor, who's been in scintillating form at 15. He's accompanied by vice-captain James Wickstead and try-scorer in the semi-final Tom Coughlin on the wing. Gene O'Leary, Kareem and cousin James O'Leary have formed a formidable partnership, and they line it inside and outside centre. Harry Murphy and Liam Toohey, the halfbacks for PBC. Rory O'Shaughnessy, last year's inside centre, captains the team from 8. Alexander Alderson and Fionn Roussel, a survivor from last year's final against Crescent in Limerick. Cian Murphy and Daniel Noonan are in the second row for the Wilton side, and Thomas McCarthy, Michael O'Sullivan and Morris Minogue make up the front row. The replacements are from Max Dillon, George O'Keefe, Peter Wall, Oscar Squires, Ruben Skuse, Daniel Foley, Oscar Nagel, Scott Kelleher, John Wigington Barrett and Luke Sisk O'Mahony. Johnny Holland, we speak about PBC playing wide, expansive rugby. There are plenty of ball players in that team, and you've been really impressed by James O'Leary.
Yeah, really impressed by him. I think, Ben O'Connor's going to get all the plaudits, but James O'Leary in the middle of the pitch, he's doing a lot of things in contact. He's actually got a lot of subtlety at the line in terms of passing as well. So I think, in the semi-final they played a lot of rugby, coming from the spine of their team. Rory O'Shaughnessy, obviously we spoke a lot about him playing at 12 before, so he's comfortable getting his hands on the ball, and you can see it in the warm-up there as well. But you look at that spine, with James O'Leary in the midfield, Ben O'Connor a full back, but I think the half-backs make him tick as well by just giving other people the ball in space. So we'll see if they can cause the same amount of trouble to the defensive side of CBC.
We've spoken about CBC's power game, Duncan, against PBC's expansive game. A little bit of oil and water, but it's going to make for an intriguing battle throughout the 70 minutes.
Yeah, having said that, Christians are still well able to move the ball. Chris Bark got that wonder try in the first time they met here. I think he had another one against Crescent in the quarter-final. And look, they're still well able. I think Benjamin Lynch, as I said, and previously, he's very calm head at the back there. I think he plays a bit of 10 as well, so he's been nice and composed, makes good decisions, when to run, when to kick, and just guides his team nicely around the pitch. Obviously, Gavin O'Riordan is involved with Irish schools, a bit of pedigree there. His brother Harry played with Irish schools as well and was involved in the academy for a bit as well. So, the talent is there also.
There's no love lost, certainly, Johnny Holland, between CBC and PBC. Talk to us about the sense of occasion. We have to remember for the viewers that these guys are 17 and 18 years of age. We're at a packed Musgrave Park. There's standing room only at the ends of terraces, both sides full. So the pressures that these guys are under, talk us through a little bit what they're expecting.
There's massive pressure, but I think, Prez were in the final last year up in Limerick, and I think that's going to stand to them. You could see Prez coming into down the tunnel when they were going to get changed, and you see a lot of nodding heads to the crowd. You see a lot of comfort in that team, so the sense of occasion is huge, and the pressure that's on these lads is huge. But you'd like to just allow them to remember that it's a game. You're supposed to go out and express yourself. It's an opportunity for people to see how good you are. It's not a full stadium with people looking for your mistakes, so hopefully we'll see that positive side from them. But Prez look very comfortable coming into the tournament. We'll see how they express themselves in it.
And what we've seen the last couple of rounds is the team that scores tries are going to win this game, so I don't think people can expect just to kick penalties, points, keep them ticking over. They need to go and try and win this game and do that by scoring tries.
It has been a cup of comebacks so far. We saw Munchins really push Prez to the pin of their collar. We saw Crescent score 12 points late on in the first game. What's going to be important in terms of the start early doors, Johnny, for both sides to get into the game?
I think, as the crowd comes up now, teams will get excited. These are still underage players. They're young fellas. Like, you'd hope that they're not out to try and win it in the first couple of minutes. Obviously, someone has to go and try and, break the line and create something. But I think a little bit of patience from the coach's perspective. They like to just get their hands on the ball, go through their systems a small bit, get everyone a touch. And I think after that, if you can put a bit of pressure on, keep their discipline, don't give away penalties, don't give easy entries. That's kind of the name of the game in a cup final. But you do want to see them go and play at some stage as well.
CBC make their way down to the right-hand side as a lot of the fans have set off flares to left and right as if we're in the Turkish capital between Fenerbahce and Galatasaray. Owen Cross will be our man in the middle today, highly experienced referee. So Duncan Williams, in one word in the scoreline, the dreaded score prediction.
I'll go 25-22 to Prez.
Johnny Holland?
Duncan nearly took my scoreline prediction. I was ready this time, but I'm going Prez 24-18. The Christians contingent that I know now won't be happy with me, but I have to bring a bit of impartiality with Duncan and Donald on the mic.
As I said, I think Prez just have that ability to seem to score more tries in general play, not rely on their maul too much. So, as I said, I think the team that will win will be the team that scores more tries. I just think Prez maybe have that more luck about them.
The stage is set for the 2023 Munster Schools Senior Cup final in association with the Irish Examiner. Charlie O'Shea, who's been brilliant in all rounds for Christians, will get us underway. Fielded by Captain O'Shaughnessy. He's met very well by Loftus and Foy. Prez intend to play early. Tui and Murphy and two of the Prez players clash into each other, and an intent to play early, but maybe a sign of nerves.
Yeah, they seem to just be running into the same space there. Maybe Ben O'Connor's identified the hole, but they got a bit tight in each other there and tripped each other up.
The space was there on the edge, wasn't it? Like, they actually went to play straight away, and they were making the right decision. I think they just maybe crossed wires a small bit, but if you were CBC coaches, you're thinking, geez, that's the first play, and they've already found a bit of space, so hopefully they can get away from the ruck and get a bit of space on the edge.
A testament to Ger Burke and Cian Bohan, who have stayed true to their expansive nature. A reminder that these teams did meet in the first round semi-final qualifier about 6 weeks ago. PBC were 19 points to 5 up at half time, 12 points ahead with about 10 minutes to go, and the rest is history, as they said, for CBC. So interesting to see what way it plays out. The first scrum of the game,
You set left to my mark, you
as
set
Owen
left to my
Cross
mark.
gives directions. Jack Casey, beautiful delivery of the ball in the last couple of games. Gavin O'Riordan lining up as first receiver with Charlie O'Shea tucked in his right shoulder. Alex O'Connell offering on the outside with try scorer Christopher Barrett on the right. They elect to go for O'Riordan, and he's met very, very well.
Stay there now.
Christians again going to their power game. PBC getting off the line, but Michael Foy does very well to ride the tackle. Loftus, the captain, carrying very, very well. A very powerful player is Loftus. Second row, Conor Kennelly there. O'Shea, nice little flat pass to Foy. Prez a little bit short on the right hand side, but trying to reorganise that defensive line. O'Shea to O'Riordan, elects to go back on the inside, but Prez double up, and the tackle have stayed really, really disciplined so far, the Wilton side. And again they elect to double up in the tackle this time on Skelly. Casey, little show and go, tries to get inside the pillar and ekes 3 yards.
No, you're stepping back.
Rock, who is in at number 8, as we said, in the absence of Captain Aina McCarthy, to O'Shea. Foy again. Prez so far standing firm, but Christian still testing that defence as O'Callaghan carries.
Okay, hold on.
A physical opening here in Musgrave Park. O'Shea, 2 dummy runners, finds O'Riordan again, and Prez get over the ball, and you can hear the celebrations from the fans to our left-hand side. A very good D-set there from Prez.
Yeah, we spoke, I suppose, the last 2 rounds about Christians and how good they were at the low tackle there, but you can see Prez are really good at that low tackle. First phase, Christians came around the corner and Alexander Anderson got off the line, made a big low tackle. I think Christians need to develop a bit more there. A lot of those playing that was 1 pass, maximum 2 pass plays. They need to move Prez around a bit more than that.
Ben O'Connor's right-footed penalty brings Prez into the CBC half for the first time in this Munster School Senior Cup final. And they elect to go for a 5-man line out. O'Shaughnessy in the middle with Daniel Noonan at the front. It's a dummy on Noonan, and O'Shaughnessy does well. Takes the ball in the middle. Toohey finds Murphy. Murphy to O'Leary, just 16 years of age, has a big future, this young man. Murphy again out the back of O'Connor.
Backwards.
And O'Leary spills the ball, but it goes backwards, and it's well cleaned up, and Prez make a break down the right-hand touchline. They're going on the outside there, very well carried by James Wickstead, the vice-captain, but he's in touch. But again, we just see PBC's intent to play when they get to those edges, Johnny. They're dangerous.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that 2 lines of attack in the last game that we watched as well, and they do find a bit of space on the edges. I think it was just a little bit unlucky from Gene O'Leary. Kareem, I think that's very unlike him to leave the ball spill a small bit, but James Wickstead still on the edge got a little bit of space with his pace and strength. I think that's going to be dangerous for Christians. But was it Ben Lynch got the tackle quite nonchalantly on the edge as well, so he's done very well at the back.
Rock claims the ball. Great dart from O'Shaughnessy. It is a little bit blustery down there, but Christians go to the tried and tested of them all, where they got so much change in the Crescent Comp semi-final. O'Shaughnessy carries Casey, passes to O'Callaghan, as you hear on the speakers, more affectionately known as Beef by the CBC supporters. Casey back to O'Shea. A low kick downfield, and Ben O'Connor has a little look up. Is dangerous in broken field, has Coughlin outside him, who likes to go on the inside. Coughlin running very well, so dangerous, gets a lovely little pass out the back, but Prez just take their eyes off it. And as dangerous as all as they are, Johnny and Duncan, those mistakes early doors.
Yeah, there was big space up the middle there. Christians need to work on their kick chase a bit better there, but they had 12-13 and winger chasing, but there was nothing in between that. I think Colin obviously identified the space, went to throw the pass. You know, I think did he give that electric try against Munchins down the far touchline in the semi-final? Well, no, he's dangerous now with ball in hand.
That was a Jameson Gibson Park style pass on the inside for a support play, wasn't it?
An electric start from PBC here in Musgrave Park. As we approach the 5-minute mark, still scoreless. And Casey feeds to the scrum. It's at the feet of Rock. To O'Shea. Elects to go across field, but it gets caught in the air And O'Connor has it. And he elects to send the ball. The bounce of this is going to be very interesting as O'Shea shepherds the ball towards. Turns out to be a good kick from PBC as O'Connor chases him down, but O'Shea is on the move and he's beaten Coughlin as well. Does very well, and Christians decide that they're going to play themselves. Prez challenged very hard at the breakdown, but Christians pack work well to get back on the inside, and it's Rock.
Good carry.
Big powerful carry from the number 8. Casey, like all good nines, playing the man offside and gets his team a penalty. Christians, Duncan, they might have heard you. They're electing to play.
Yeah, nice dummy and try a counter-attack there. Obviously, Ben O'Connor put him under a bit of pressure, but great ball carry there by Danny Rock again. We were saying before the game, he doesn't look like that big a man, but he's a great ball carrier and he's an excellent tackler as well.
You just wonder how much Christians are going to get away with giving Ben O'Connor the ball too many times. He's going to get enough possession as it is. I think you can't just kick the ball down the middle of the pitch. Maybe work on their exit strategy a small bit.
PBC varying their exit strategy and electing to run through Tom Coughlin and Ben O'Connor, so good variety from the PBC side. As Loftus gives the call to Stephen O'Shaughnessy. Foy, Prenter and Rock. Dummy is on Foy, but O'Shaughnessy gets up in front, but it's tapped back, and Casey is tasked with cleaning it up, and he does very, very well to go forward. O'Callaghan again with a carry and Prez double up. It's something that they look to have identified good and early. Ball is slow for Christians as Rock offers himself again, and the ball is knocked on there, and Prez look to be over the ball, and it's upgraded to a penalty there. Duncan, you raised a very valid point about we looked at Christians chop and tag. It's something that Prez seem to have looked at to nullify them, and they're getting good change out of early
they've
doors.
obviously identified who the big ball carriers are for Christians. Obviously Beef was coming in there from out the backs off that foreman. The carry there, put him straight on the ground, had to go off it, didn't get it that time. Got pressure on Danny Rock and they managed to get the turnover then the next phase.
O'Connor's penalty lands PBC just past the 10-metre line in the CBC half. We've seen PBC with their expansive style of play. They go again for a 5-man line out with O'Shaughnessy in the middle, Roussel behind and Daniel Noonan in front. They go off a spread and they elect to go towards the tail. A good call from O'Shaughnessy there as they come up to Toohey, and O'Leary carries, tries to find it, a soft shoulder on the inside, and Prez looking for a set play here. Coughlin bounces off the shoulder, and a pre-planned move there, Johnny Holland.
Yeah, they had a couple. I think we saw it last time out. First minute of the game, they had a pre-planned move down the short side, and they got a try from it. You saw them in the warm-up doing something similar. This time a bit of a variation on it. I didn't expect Tom Collins to go through the middle. I thought it was going to go to the back and get him away on an edge, but they have a lot up their sleeve. It's just a small few errors now creeping into their game. Maybe that's the cup final in it.
An enthralling start here in Cork. As we said, it still remains scoreless. Casey with the feed, CBC going 3-3 split as it stands. O'Shea is to the left, but they go towards the right to Lynch. Lynch, lovely little kick, puts his foot over the ball, tries to get towards it. Ben O'Connor does very, very well there to prevent a 50-22 and takes no risks and sends the ball out there. Smart play from CBC there, and you highlighted Ben Lynch before the game, Duncan.
Yeah, it was a nice kick there, obviously looking for the 50-22, but good chase as well. Didn't give Ben O'Connor any time. I know he prevented it going out to for the 50-22, but Gavin O'Riordan did well to keep the pressure on him.
A convening of minds for the CBC pack again. They take their time, just a metre outside the PBC 22. They've gone at a 4-man line out and they've loaded the midfield. There's a little trick play down the front, and the ball is in the hands of O'Shaughnessy as well as they tread towards the line. He's brought down 4 metres short and he's inside in the touch. And Prez can have their trick plays all they want, Johnny Holland, but CBC have spotted something there and almost got in for the first try of the afternoon.
Yeah, I think when they shorten the line out to 4, you're looking in the middle of the pitch wondering which one of them is going to carry, and all of a sudden the front of the line out is free. So clever play from them, which is a pity they've gone into touch.
Just wait. This player's in the lace. Let's just get time for this.
Referee Owen Cross calls for a suspug while there's a lace tied. O'Shaughnessy has called a 4-man line out of himself. He's been eagerly watched by Kennelly and Foy. They work towards the front. Ball is overthrown. It is an opportunity here, and it's bouncing this way and that way. Ball says it goes backwards there. Might have been a little bit of a knock on, but it's play on so far. Prez move it out through the hands there. McCarthy finding himself on the touchline is the tight head prop. PBC need to get a handle here as CBC stay a little bit ill-disciplined, and that's a get out of jail free card for Prez there.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one for Christians. Even if you go back to the trick play around the front of the line out there, O'Shaughnessy could just work in off the touchline rather than getting bundled out. Then they put the Prez line out under pressure, managed to get a bit of a turnover. Prez aren't going anywhere and they give away a silly penalty, so it's just those learnings, if they can bring them in now into the rest of the game, I think they'll have a good chance.
O'Connor's kick is measured to perfection. And a wry smile from Johnny Holland there with the angle that was there, thoroughly enjoyed from the former out half himself. And PBC will have a line out just inside their own half, but they'll be very, very happy not to concede there.
Yeah, Ben O'Connor got as much as he could out of that, didn't he? But I think Chris Barrett did his best to keep the ball in play, but his feet actually landed outside the field of play after he touched the ball, so that's the correct call.
CBC challenge in the air, but Captain O'Shaughnessy mops up. Ball is in the hands of O'Leary and he goes inside. Murphy does well to ride the tackle. O'Shaughnessy again, as we've said, he's playing the inside centre position with very good footwork there, and Prez just managed to get bundled into touch.
It's a knock on. It's a knock on, yeah.
And it's a knock on to restart with CBC. Johnny, we spoke in the semi-final qualifier and the semi-final itself against Munchins. PBC's expansive play, if they're continuing to make a couple of errors like that, do you persist with playing where they are, or do you try and play field possession to get yourself back into the game?
I think at some stage you do play field position, but I think you lay out your game plan. You don't just because of an error or two. You have to stick with it. You can't go away from it. But I think the thing that impresses me about James O'Leary, they've used that kind of set piece off line up maybe 2 or 3 times now already, where he's in the middle and he's got his forwards either side of him, and he's chosen different choices each time. Like he's gotten inside that time, he went himself with a dummy, I think twice. So I think it's just that kind of IQ that he knows the fellas are going to be looking at him because he's what he's done the first 2, and then he's trying to play someone else into the game, and that's the bit I like. He's playing other fellas into the game once the eyes are on him.
We called it shadow boxing, Duncan, before the previous semi-final, but even though these teams have played, you'd consider them knowing each other so well, there is still a little bit of figuring out, and we saw with a short line out and Prez's early play that they feel there are weaknesses in both defences.
Yeah, look, even there, I think Christians contested that last line-up very well there. So, they're keeping the pressure on Prez. Obviously, they got up in the air and won the 5-metre line as well. Prez have obviously identified a bit of spaces on the edge and they're trying to get the ball there. And they obviously have a few trick plays up their sleeve as well, which we saw. So it'll be interesting to see how it continues.
Referee Owen Cross says time back on as he dishes out the orders. Casey has a little chat with O'Shea. O'Riordan giving his 2 cents as well outside. The call goes the whole way out the CBC backline. Barrett staying close to O'Shea as well here, and Casey picks and goes himself, gets a couple of yards as O'Riordan does very well, bounces off one would-be tackler, but he's met very well there by Harry Murphy of Prez. O'Shea again steps on the inside, tries to get the hands free. Christian's getting a couple of yards as Prez have a little nibble at the breakdown. Foy again got through some amount of work in the opening 12 minutes of this Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final. And the ball is knocked on and PBC have it and they're looking intent on playing. Referee says advantage over as Coughlin chases up. He's accompanied by O'Leary on his left hand side and Lynch takes a little bit of time. Kicks it straight down the middle of the pitch. Toohey leaves the ball bounce, as does O'Connor, but it bounces up at the second time of asking and O'Connor is off on a run. Well tackled there by O'Shaughnessy of CBC, cutting down the danger man from Prez. And it's O'Leary Kareem onto the touchline. Goes O'Shaughnessy and James Wickstead has an opportunity here. He goes outside the would-be tackler. They're on the touchline. It's dropped down onto the foot. It's wonderful play from Prez. And CBC have dropped it and there's an opportunity here for Prez as they're close to scrum half. But referee Owen Cross says there was moving on the ground and he was right on the money there with the call. But again, scintillating play from Prez and nearly the first try in this final.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's very hard not to go for the line there from Liam Toohey, but Jean O'Leary Kareem, I think it's understated what he did there, the build up to it, staying square and putting James Wickstead away on the edge. It's very easy for him to look at that space and try to run into it himself, but squaring his hips and giving the ball to someone else is really good play.
PBC, Duncan, finding a good bit of joy in those wide channels, varying their width of attack. They've been impressive.
Yeah, Christians obviously kicked their ball bounce. Ben O'Connor picked it up. I think they thought maybe they were out of jail there when they got him on the ground, but next phase they managed to get round him. So look, Prez obviously showing they have a lot of strings to their bow and attack. and they obviously are trying to get to that width as we spoke about.
O'Shaughnessy with the ball. Foy goes towards the front, and it's well taken by Conor Kennelly. The long arms of the lock. And CBC referee says it's brought to ground by the Sydney Hill side. Loftus with a good carry again as PBC try and double up in their tackles. Casey uses his forwards on the right hand side as O'Shea orchestrates from deep. You'd imagine we're going to see a box kick here. PBC dropping numbers into the backfield. That does hang up in the wind. Taken well by Wickstead. Very well by Wickstead. Rides one would-be tackler of CBC. Coughlin is wide out here on the right by himself. Cian Bohan in the PBC dugout looking for space. CBC staying very disciplined with Toohey. O'Shaughnessy carries very well. O'Leary, some incredible hits going in, but O'Leary, as we said, just 16 years of age, a Junior Cup winner with PBC last year. Toohey to Russell. Man who played in last year's final moves it back to Toohey. PBC keeping the ball alive and gotten a quick breakdown. Murphy throws it to O'Connor. He's got Coughlin on the wing as they enter the CBC 22. Good carry there from Cian Murphy. PBC trying to work back into their shape. Captain O'Shaughnessy, volunteers. Just took his eye off it at the last minute. A rare error from the CBC captain. But PBC upping the ante and knocking on the door yet again.
I think Christians got off the hook there. Prez had a good few numbers over here and they just wasted too many phases trying to capitalise on it.
All right.
We might be scoreless, Johnny, but the game is being played at a frantic pace and it's insanely physical in this first 16 or so minutes.
Yeah, very physical, but I think Christians are playing to their strengths here. They're putting the ball into the maul to try and get their exit set up. You'd wonder when they had their trick play in the other 22, Prez were obviously expecting their maul to come, so they went down the short side with a trick play at the front. But at the same time, I think Christians, you kind of know what they're going to do, but you still have to stop it. I'd like to have seen them put the ball into that maul in the first one and see how far they could have gone, because when they're exiting from their own half, they seem to be getting a good bit of purchase from it. If they get a bit of territory at all, I think that's going to be a very hard thing to stop for Prez.
Right.
It was actually an excellent box kick from Christians, great chase, but Wickstead just did well to ride the tackle and put Prez back on the front foot. So it was, yes, Christians exited, they exited quite well, but it was a bit of magic from Prez to get them back on the front foot. And
out half wanting to see Mauls in the Senior Cup final, you're finally admitting that forwards win games.
It's just being pragmatic in the cup final, but I think you can see Christians are setting up their pods at 3. They're not you can see a mile away what they're doing. I don't think they're running as much out the back of that just to take the pressure away from their pods of forward. So you'd like to see their playmakers maybe just sit in the back of that, so that the Prez defence has to make more decisions and they can't line up their big ball carriers as much.
9.
It's interesting to see, as well, that Prez are doubling up in those tackles. That sooner rather than later will take its toll on the defence more so than the attack.
I think it will take a toll on them, but they're very comfortable at the moment because Christians aren't offering as much out the back. So they know that they can put two fellas into the tackle if there's not going to be another option to pass the ball out the back to O'Shea and the rest of his backline. So
getting hit by 2 men every time is quite sapping on the ball carriers as well. So yes, it might take its toll on the defence, but it's also going to have the same impact on the attack.
An intriguing battle here in Musgrave Park as Rock picks from the base. Carries very well, but knocks on. An unforced error there from Rock, who's been outstanding in CBC's campaign.
I was lucky not to be a high tackle there. It seemed to be a shoulder to the head.
A query from Captain Sam Loftus to Owen Cross, who says he's happy with the goings on the stop-start nature of the game, lads.
Scrum time.
It's difficult for teams to get into a groove with that.
It's errors from both eights there, who are clearly leaders in their own packs as well. So that's what a cup final will do to fellas. They're not errors trying not to play the game. They're very positive errors that they're making. They're trying to get on the ball and trying to make something happen. But you'd like to see, if that was a senior scrum and Christians are going forward, I know they have to stop at 1.5 meters here. But if that was a senior scrum, you'd like to think that they're going to milk a few penalties out of that as well. They look to be on top inside the forward exchanges.
Indeed, they worked a good angle there to get Rock, who was clearly outside Alex Alderson. The 7 for PBC.
It's a good attack opportunity here for Prez.
They lined up with everyone inside. The scrum towards the left-hand side. Murphy is standing at 10, gets the ball from Toohey. They go outside O'Leary to Kareem. He's well marshalled by Alex O'Connell, his opposite number, and PBC work towards the touchline. do very well to stay in play. About 1.5 meters in for the touchline, but Christians go very hard at that. And they go early doors through Coughlin. There's an opportunity here. Whether or not CBC was 10 remains to be seen. PBC, every single player within 15 metres of the ruck. Referee says the ball was regathered as Prez go very, very hard through James O'Leary, about 3.5 metres short of the CBC line. Ball is slowed down. Captain through Cian Murphy. And Owen Cross. A couple of words exchanged between the players. We remain to see what the decision will be. Michael Foy being called over.
Just 1 second. Time off, okay? Back you go, please.
Yeah, there seemed to be a bit of messing at the back of the ruck there.
Balls down,
lifting
back you go.
Maybe not leaving each other down.
So Christians actually defended the scrum very well, and then gave away again a frustrating penalty there. Colin reacted like the live early.
Accidentally. Yes, and Red has reacted. Red has turned him in the air and he's landed on his back. Correct. It's a yellow card for Red Foy for me.
So there's going to be a yellow card. You heard Owen Cross and Shane Kearns' touch judge.
So you've accidentally ended up, when a player getting up off the floor in that position, you've then turned that player dangerously and he's landed on his back. It's a yellow card. Off you go.
So Michael Foy, who was sin-binned in the replayed semi-final against Crescent, will spend 7 minutes in the bin, and more importantly, Captain O'Shaughnessy has the ball at his feet. Prez want more than 3 here, and O'Shaughnessy goes to O'Leary, carries well, met by 3 CBC players. PBC will try and move the ball quickly here. Nice little line from Kareem, and he's gotten the ball down, and PBC get the first goal of this Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final. A lovely little decoy line from Jean O'Leary Kareem, and PBC at the front here.
Captain O'Shaughnessy has the ball at his feet. Prez want more than 3 here.
Johnny Holland, we spoke about bravery before the game, and the team that plays the most rugby and scores the most tries wins, and you have to commend PBC. They're not taking 3 and back in their system.
Yeah, Duncan said it before the game that the team that go to score tries will probably win the cup final, but you see maybe a mixture, a different style between Prez and Christians. Prez look to be a little bit more comfortable maybe upping the tempo a small bit. Christians are a bit more structured, and I know they'd like to be structured and they want to know what's going on and be comfortable in that, but Prez are looking to disrupt it. The quick tap from Tom Collin, like Duncan has said, they have a bit of license to play off the cuff a small bit.
O'Connor, no stranger to converting in finals against CBC, makes no mistake. And PBC hit the frontier just after 19 minutes, 7 points to 0. The try through Jean O'Leary Kareem, the outside centre, with a lovely finish. Michael Foy in the bin now, so it's about managing the game for CBC.
Definitely, but I think if you're a Prez, you're going to want to get your 2 centres on the ball as much as possible. Their back 3 are doing a lot of damage as well. Maybe their whole back line at this stage, but the 2 centres, a lot of things seem to happen once they get their hands on the ball.
O'Shea sends it long into the hands of Captain O'Shaughnessy, who hits O'Connor. Difficult kick on the right foot. Finds his opposite number, Lynch, who tells O'Shea, go after this one. High hanging ball. Bobbles from Wickstead, but it's well taken by Murphy of Prez. O'Leary through to Captain O'Shaughnessy again. Prez electing to go through a couple of phases to work an angle for themselves.
Red, stay on, please.
Liam Toohey through the right boot. Sends it high into the sky. Well fielded again by Lynch. He's one-on-one with Wickstead, steps inside him. And it looks like a seatbelt tackle there by Wickstead, but Lynch has looked very assured under the ball there, lads, and it's decent game management from CBC.
I don't think he could look calmer in the backfield for Christians. He just plays his own game, doesn't he? Nice lazy step there, and he bought the penalty, so he did very well.
He reminds me of Tyler Blayandall there, just walking around as if he's going for a coffee in the middle of a match.
You won't hear a nicer compliment all afternoon from Duncan Williams as Lynch lands CBC. Very good kick off the outside of the right boot. Wind is blustery here in Musgrave Park this afternoon. Does look like PBC have a slight advantage, if any, as CBC go to a 5-man line out. Foy off the pitch, so Rock goes into the middle. They go on a dummy. Ball is overthrown, but it's bounced towards the CBC side, and it's well gathered there by Owen Prenter at open side. Casey goes to O'Callaghan. O'Callaghan so abrasive in the contact. PBC thought they had their hands on the ball. O'Shea moves it outside. Barrett, the danger man on the move. Beats one, steps inside, but he's taken down very, very well by Wickstead of PBC. CBC going to their power game inside the 22, varying left and right attacks. Captain Loftus again finding the inside shoulder with Prez. Ball bounces out. Barrett again. Always seems to be in the right place at the right time is Barrett. Carried well again by Skelly. The blind side for Christians. O'Shaughnessy shows up. Ben O'Connor of PBC trying to disrupt. CBC will go to their pick and jam game. Carried well again by Kennelly. CBC happy to eke through the yards. Referee Cross warns CBC to arrive up. PBC sticking to the task here, but CBC slowly but surely eking forward again. They go through the pick and go. Casey says let's go through O'Shea. O'Shea well marshalled there by Noonan of PBC. And Cross says penalty to PBC. There was an earlier call for moving on the ground there, and that's what he signalled again.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunate. There was definitely, I don't know which one it was, but there looked to be Prez hands around the ground past that ruck, and I think that's why the roll came, just to try and look after his own ball. So it's a bit unfortunate. I think that one's a bit harsh.
CBC Duncan again going to their power game inside in the 22, albeit down to 14 men.
Yeah, it seems like they're playing a tactic as if they're playing into a massive win. They're taking a couple of phases in off the touchline and look to go back down. I don't know, is it something that they identified where Prez are weak, or they feel there's a win against them? I'm not sure. No, they did get a bit of joy, I suppose, down the wing there. Chris Barrett, took off down the wing there, got a good bit of ground, so be interested to see if that continues.
Leo O'Leary is entering the fray here for CBC.
For Gavin O'Reilly, is
he? Number 25 is Leo O'Leary, as Ben O'Connor of Prez sends the ball out over the stand.
That's a big loss for Christians in the 12 back in the middle of the pitch. But interestingly, you see Ben O'Connor in the backfield racing in like he's Liam Williams, trying to get a turnover in the breakdown. When Christians are leaving it light, he's just rushing in and trying to get his hands on the ball like he did to win the game here in the semi-final.
O'Shaughnessy with the dummy. It's well taken. The ball bounces backwards, a little bit disorganised for Prez, but they elect to go through the hands and back the skill set. O'Leary Kareem dancing footwork. O'Leary welcomes him to the game, and it's ripped very, very well there by Alex O'Connell, the outside centre. The combination working straight off the bat defensively as O'Shea sees a little bit of space in behind. The bounce is kind, but there's a block down from Barrett again, and there's a slight knock on there. And we spoke about Barrett being in the right place at the right time for tries. Dogged work rate from O'Leary. The ante has been up from CBC, and they're in with a real chance here. 12 metres from the line.
A pet peeve of mine there. I wonder could Wickstead catch that on the full rather than letting it bounce to give Chris Barrett more chance to get on top of him and charge it down. He catches that in the full and just bangs it straight back down against Christians.
I watched the highlights of the semi-finals and the replay semi-final this morning, and you just look at Barrett. There's just tries happen around him. You don't know how it happens, or there's a chip here in the first semi-final, and the ball kind of got nudged along, and he just happens to pick the ball up. Same with the crossfield kick that we've seen. The ball just seems to bounce for him, but you said he's in the right place at the right time. That's not luck,
He has a Cronin Healy look about him, standing out in the wing, baggy jersey. Next thing the ball comes to him, and he beats about 10 defenders and scores in the corner.
A head full of hair, though, is the only contradiction to that statement. He did score a wonderful try in the replayed game in Limerick. It was a lovely little box kick from Jack Casey, and the ball just bounced into his hands. But that's class from a guy at that age. As Michael Foy re-enters the fray.
And I think Christians actually managed that period quite well. They were actually attacking with pick and goes without one of their biggest forwards, and they were running down the clock, although it was a chance to score, I know, but I think that was a bit of management in there as well.
Yeah, back there, lads, okay.
A little bit of disagreements down on the touchline, but Michael Foy re-enters the fray. They'll be delighted to have The huge lock back in. Benjamin Lynch lines up on the right-hand side with Christopher Barrett, Charlie O'Shea, Leo O'Leary, Alex O'Connell and Foley, and they elect to go on the right-hand side, and it's Lynch, and he's got Barrett outside him, and he gives the ball, and Barrett can go, but O'Connor meets him very, very well. And it's a superb tackle from Ben O'Connor there, body on the line in this Munster School Senior Cup final, and Barrett inches from getting the try.
Yeah, great cover, great attack by Ben Lynch, drawing in the two defenders and just giving Barrett a chance to get in the corner. Great cover by Ben O'Connor.
I think if there was a wild kick in there somewhere, Chris Barrett would have caught it. He should have just lashed him up in the air.
Lads, 10, take a step.
Michael O'Sullivan has the ball over his head. O'Shaughnessy on a 4-man line out. They elect to go towards the front, and it's well taken by Daniel Noonan, but the referee says the ball was not straight.
Scrum.
And CBC elect to go for a scrum.
Must be a fair contest, lads. Not straight.
And errors, albeit unforced, huge in the context of the game.
Yeah, they are, and Prez are finding it hard now to get out of their own territory, and Christians are having a couple of goals off this. You can only have so many defensively before a team cracks you. You know, we spoke about the Christians' dominance in the scrum. If they get a wheel on this, Danny Rock is very quick off the base. It's going to be difficult to keep stopping them here. You can see there's two down the short side for Prez because they know that the threat is down there.
He's eyeing it up as well, Danny Rock. You could see him there looking at it.
Barrett flattens up with him.
CBC try and get the wheel. Rock does go on the right hand side. He's met very well. Goes Rock. He's very close to the line, about half a metre short. Casey has his carriers, and Foy crosses across O'Callaghan there. A big moment for PBC. Defended the first phase there, and a little bit of miscommunication leaves them off the hook.
Yeah, I think they'll be kicking themselves with that. That's a massive opportunity missed. In cup finals, you don't get too many of them, and you'd like to think if they kept the ball in hand, they were going to find their way over that line.
Just saw Dennis Callaghan, the tight head line up, but Foy went in behind, hence the call of crossing from referee Cross, and Prez survived that yet again. CBC a metre and a half short of the line through Rock, but PBC repelled them on that occasion. O'Sullivan again, PBC line out has looked very assured through O'Shaughnessy's calling. Nice bit of movement there again, but the ball was an early lift from CBC, and Prez say let's have a run.
Oh, that's the first time he's called that. Christians have gone up 2 or 3 times early, and he's let it go.
O'Leary out the back to O'Leary Kareem. Little dink over the top. Bounces. Ben Lynch sends it high into the sky. It will stay in field, and Wickstead does very well to marshal that in the sun. They're having quite the battle there, Barrett and Wickstead on that touchline on the far side. Roussel with a lovely little offload there to the hooker O'Sullivan. PBC got on the blind. O'Shaughnessy with a lovely little in and out the step. The man who played inside centre last year is on the move. He's met with his back row colleague Alderson as well, and PBC are into the 22 of CBC. They go very hard to slow down the ball, and CBC's defensive line is set. O'Shaughnessy again at first receiver to O'Leary. Finds a soft shoulder on the inside. A one-man ruck for PBC just outside the 22. O'Connor offering himself, but they go out the back. O'Leary Kareem with wonderful footwork again. Marshalled well by CBC. PBC biding their time. It's out to the second row Murphy. He throws it back inside to Colin, who's very strong, but he's met very, very well by the CBC defence. And you can hear the cheer to the right-hand side. Alex O'Connell with some wonderful defence there on Cochran, but the footwork first of all, Johnny, from O'Shaughnessy. We said he played inside centre. We're going to sound like a broken record, but that was superb footwork to get the break.
Yeah, but I think he deserves that credit because, you know, it's the footwork is one thing, but I think it's the ball work as well. You know, he's showing the ball one way, his feet are going different ways. Like, he's very hard to stop, and obviously with his size and his athletic ability, you know, it's going to be difficult all game if he's going to get his hands on the ball that much. But I've been very impressed by the Prez breakdown. I think there might have been a penalty in the breakdown there in the end, but they're very quick to get to the breakdown. They're very accurate in clearing people out, and we've seen the effect of their attack, but you don't really focus on what they're doing in the breakdown to allow that quick ball to happen, you know. So I think it's something just to keep an eye on when they do go well. I think it's because the breakdown has given them that quick ball to go there.
We mentioned in the semi-final, like O'Shaughnessy, we know he's played 12, but his awareness of people around him, obviously he knew he'd runners either side of him, show and go. Christian's defender purchased it. I think he's still looking for the pass, but you know, it's great awareness and his ability to bring people into the game as well. He always makes the right decision.
Lynch finds touch just inside the PBC half. 4.5 minutes plus whatever the officials deem necessary left in the first half of this Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final in association with the Irish Examiner. O'Shaughnessy, fine dart to Rock, finds its way to O'Shea, and it's a high boot. Ben O'Connor elects not to take the mark.
Stop here, stop.
Puts a right boot through the ball and finds a superb touch from the middle of the pitch. Johnny Holland, that is a hell of a kick.
That's a disgraceful kick at schools level. That's a massive boot from Ben O'Connor.
He could have taken the mark easily and taken his time, but he decided to make it hard for himself.
But I think that comes back to the Christian strategy again. Obviously they've elected to kick the ball. I'm not sure, was there a bit of confusion in their lineup, but they've kicked the ball slightly too long as well, and then they haven't covered the far side. So Ben O'Connor has a whole load of field to aim for there, but a great kick.
O'Shaughnessy, well taken again by Kennelly. Featured heavily for CBC in the line-out this afternoon as well in the loose. And CBC look to eke forward and have bought a penalty.
Side entry, changed your mind.
From PBC.
Number 4, side entry. You've changed your mind up the side.
And we spoke before the game about the importance of PBC not giving CBC field position. They've done relatively well so far, but you don't want to be giving CBC easy entries to your half.
Well, you don't, and I think they've obviously used their maul there to get themselves a foothold in the game again. Kick down the line, get another maul. If you were Christians, you'd like to see them put it back into the maul if they're going to start giving away penalties in there. I think that's where the pressure's going to come on. And if you can start working towards a score, even if it's 3 points here before half time, that's what the coach is going to be looking for.
Don't change the mind, okay? You can't go in onto the ball.
Lynch lands Christians just inside the 10 for PBC.
I think in general, Christians, they shouldn't be scared to put the ball off the pitch. To have Prez's line out under a bit of pressure, there's been a few crookeds. I know they got pinged for going up early in the last one. As I say that, they just got thrown.
Commentator's curse of Duncan Williams. O'Shaughnessy steals the ball from the grasp of Foy, and they move up the pitch, and it's a great carry by second row Noonan. PBC getting into their groove here in Musgrave Park. It's a wonderful kick, but well fielded by Lynch, and wonderful footwork by Lynch. Adored by the CBC fans. To his right hand side, Prez having a right go at that breakdown. Couple officials starting to develop in the stand here in Musgrave Park as O'Shea lands the ball. Did that hit the hand of Harry Murphy? It did hit Murphy, and referee Cross says that's half time here in Musgrave Park in this Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final. Johnny Holland, what's your takeaways from that first half?
I think it's been highly competitive. You're going to see that with two teams that know each other very well. You spoke about it earlier, but there's a bit of a personal grudge here as well. I think it adds to the stalemate of a cup final when your opposite number is a fella that you know very well. You try that a little bit harder for him not to get one over on you, but it's been played in a very positive spirit as well. So I'm looking forward to the second half to see who can kind of crack the code a bit more.
Duncan, what do you think the key messages will be from a CBC side? Do they need to improve on anything?
Yeah, look, I think they've actually gotten into the Prez 22 quite a bit, but they've left Prez off the hook. They've obviously had that bit of crossing there, or a few bits and pieces of penalty for holding on. They just need to tighten up slightly there. Prez don't have to miss a tackle for Christians to score. They just need to keep holding the ball, keep hammering the line, and eventually they will get over.
The discipline in the first half, Johnny's been relatively good. Not exactly strange to not see a shot at goal from either side, but at the same time, PBC have done well to manage a very, very big CBC pack.
Yeah, I think so. There's two good kickers on either side, so the discipline has been quite good deep inside in both territories, not to give them easy access. When it's 7-0, they obviously have done a good job of that, but there's going to be more chances here. Duncan said it, that if CBC get their hands on the ball deep in the Prez 22, you'd expect them to convert their next chance, I think.
Tommy Crowe has been involved in CBC a long time. Duncan, what do you think? A penny for his thoughts in the half-time changing room?
I think he'd be quite positive. Obviously Prez got a try off without too many injuries into the Christians 22. As I said, Christians have actually been in their 22 a lot. And yes, Prez have identified a bit of space out there, but they haven't really caused too much trouble either there, whether it be knock-ons or misplaced passes and stuff. So, I think he'd be quietly confident. I think he should keep trying to turn Prez, keep trying to get access. As I said, they've got a bit of joy out of the Prez line-out as well. I know I jinxed it there a minute ago, they got turned over in their own line-out, but I don't think they should be worried about putting the ball off the pitch and maybe attack them from that.
I think we can go down pitch side now to Owen Cormacan and Donal Lenihan for their take on the first half.
tough start. There's been a lot of injuries. I think neither side have built up any real momentum, but no, I think on the balance of play, Prez have been the more impressive side. I think Christian's kicking policy is something they need to look at. I mean, they're kicking to a Prez backfield there of Wickstead, O'Connor and Collin have been incredibly impressive. They have a capacity to beat the first tackle, and I have to say, on the balance of play, I think Prez deservedly ahead at half time.
Okay, and as you touched on, Christians probably have had more possession, but maybe not making the best use of it.
Yeah, look again, I think when they look back at it, they've got into the Prez 22 on 3 or 4 occasions. Prez defensively have been really impressive as well. And, when you concede penalties 3 or 4 metres from the opposition line, I mean, the adrenaline rush and just the buzz that gives the defensive team is huge. We mentioned the injuries that Christians have had. Certainly Rona, the hooker, I think, has been sadly missed, but and obviously, Prez, the yellow card against Michael Foy, Prez took the opportunity to score at that stage. But the carrying game isn't going to be enough, I think, for Christians. And you look at people like Lynch, the full-back, O'Shea at 10. Christians have capacity to run and to attack. Barrett on the wing, I think they should. It'll be interesting to see if they change tack a bit in the second half now.
Okay, over to Prez. A lot of games this year they found themselves ahead at half time. Haven't always done a fantastic job of protecting the lead. Do you think that will weigh on their minds, and what can they do different this occasion that they don't let the lead slip?
Yeah, look, they look a confident side to me. As I say, I think they look better on both sides of the ball. Defensively, very well organised. From an attacking perspective, I've been impressed with them. But schools finals and games like this, as I mentioned at the start of the game, there's nothing in it. And all Christians need is a break, really. I can see them scoring, but I think on the balance of power, Prez possibly should be a little bit more ahead at half time. But these games, they always go down to the wire. I saw that O'Riordan gone off as well. He's the last of Christians in that midfield as well.
Finally, calling it from this juncture, could you?
Well, look, as I say, I think Prez have been, they look the more balanced side. Midfield attack has been very good also, their back row. Certainly Rory O'Shaughnessy, we knew about him coming into the game. He played in the midfield for Prez last year, and you can see that balance he has in terms of carrying and his footwork as well, very impressive. So look, on the evidence of the first half, I've had to, I think Prez will prevail in the end, but as we've seen on many occasions in the past, you can never call these games until the final whistle goes.
No, there could well be a few more twists and turns in store. Donal, thanks very much for your thoughts. Dara, back up to you.
For the thoughts of Owen Cormacan, and thanks to Donal Lennon there. Lads, just referencing the point, Johnny, I suppose, of Prez. They were 35 points to 10 up at half time against Munchins, and they didn't score in the second half. They were also ahead against CBC, 19 points to 5 in that semi-final qualifier. Do you think that's been referenced at half time, that they need to keep playing?
Yeah, I think it's going to be referenced to some degree. I'd hope subtly, because you don't want to put maybe doubts into the minds of younger players, but you do have to reference it because it's a massive threat to them now. But I think the way they're playing, the way they're attacking, if they get a couple of chances here in the second half, they could all of a sudden run away with the game. So I think both sides will be very, very conscious of not letting the other team back into the game like they did in their semi-finals.
The score at half-time was 7 points to 0. Gene O'Leary, Kareem with a lovely little finish after 18 minutes, converted by Ben O'Connor. CBC have lost the highly influential Gavin O'Riordan midway through the first half. He's been replaced by Leo O'Leary, but other than that, it's as you were in this Pinergy Munster Schools Senior Cup final in association with the Irish Examiner. O'Leary, Kareem will get us underway. 35 minutes to go here in this final, and Lynch takes the ball.
Stop here.
Musgrave Park drenched in sunshine here this afternoon. O'Shaughnessy using every single millimetre of that touchline to stay in, much to the behest of the CBC fans on that side, but Prez in the mood to play and are just short of the 10-metre line. Murphy goes out the back to O'Leary, to O'Connor, puts the ball on his laces, and it's decent play at the opening of this second half.
Yeah, that was a big feature of the Six Nations games at the weekend. The kick on the edge, second man from the end, putting that kick through. It's hard for the backfield to deal with those kind of things. So
out in the full.
CBC tried to take the kick early, but touch judge Shane Kearns gives the message to Owen Cross, says the ball was passed back in.
I think the actual line-out was supposed to be outside the 22, and I think that's what his issue was there, but that's unfortunate for Christians. Ben Lynch going quick there, and I think taking a leaf out of Prez's book in the first half, maybe just going against the flow of the game and maybe trying to speed things up a bit.
O'Sullivan will throw into a 4-man line-out, but it's a little short one, and Roussel goes quite well. Casey looks like he's over the ball for CBC, but he's lost his footing, and there will be advantage played to PBC as O'Leary puts the ball up high. O'Connor is chasing it here, but it's well fielded by Lynch. Both 15s going toe-to-toe there, but we will come back for a penalty. CBC's trick play in the early part of the first half in a 4-man line-out. PBC seeing something the same, but we'll come back for the penalty.
I know Prez had advantage there, that's why they went for the kick, but I think it was on for him to move and keep it in the hands there, maybe been a bit more beneficial to him. Great take by Ben Lynch though, casual as ever.
Coffee in one hand, is it?
Yeah.
Let's go, lads, captain, let's go.
Roussel, who took the ball on the trick play.
Mark's here.
And Captain O'Shaughnessy calls a scrum. Ben O'Connor going in to learn from the forwards there.
So set left, okay. Here might also step up left.
Perhaps trying to tie down the CBC pack to get wide early, but we will see what play. Currently PBC have James Wickstead tucked right in behind the scrum, followed by Murphy,
Crouch.
O'Leary and O'Leary Kareem. Ben O'Connor the 15 is flat, and Tom Collin, the last PBC man on the right hand post.
Hold it. Okay, hold the push.
O'Shaughnessy goes, tries to get outside Prenter. O'Leary carries well, and PBC have made early yards. Nice little line from O'Connor, does well to slide over, but he's well managed by CBC. And Daniel Rock sends the ball down. They did have advantage, but it'll be play on, and Prez through Wickstead keep the ball alive. Barrett tries to get him down, but he's helped by his back row colleague Mark Skelly. O'Shaughnessy again in midfield to O'Connor. Lovely little right boot, and the ball is going to bounce. Is it going to bounce towards the touchline? It is going to bounce in. And is Kieran saying 50-22? He's not, because the ball was passed back into the PBC half. And CBC spending a lot of time in this opening part of the second half down.
I think he was going to say it was touched by Danny Rock there at one point as well, but the ref corrected him.
You mentioned in the first half, do Prez act a bit more pragmatically and put the ball into the corner small bit, but maybe you're seeing it now and getting a bit of territory to put pressure on Christians to maybe get a bit of a leg up in this game.
O'Shaughnessy has the ball, Foy at the tail creeping forward. O'Shaughnessy tries to keep his number. He tries to get in front, but it's a wonderful dart from O'Shaughnessy, and Rock, so dependable, carries up, met by Alderson. He's told to release in the tackle.
Surely he told him release, there should be a penalty.
Casey finds O'Shea, who's flat, and O'Shea does very well.
That's an excellent kick, but it was a really good line out as well. How he hit the tail there under pressure with O'Shaughnessy standing in front of where the ball was going to. I think that's really technically good. A very good exit from Christians.
O'Shaughnessy replacing Adam Rona, who unfortunately didn't make this game. Highly influential player for Christians.
Not sure I fancy throwing to the 15 on the 5-metre line out myself. So fair play to him.
O'Sullivan goes. Ball is with Tui, beats one, but O'Callaghan.
Short side. It's on here for the short side.
Dark arts going on at the ruck. O'Shaughnessy goes through the gap. Casey again of Christians tries to go. O'Leary to Alderson. Gets a fortuitous bounce that bounced off CBC and goes forward to Prez. Murphy again. Ben O'Connor doesn't keep the ball in hand, and it's bounced up for Coughlin. And we'll reset with a scrum in CBC. Joe Burke has his hands on his head down on the touchline. He's been in this situation before. Prez looked very, very dangerous in open play.
Not sure when was the last time we saw Joe Burke prowling in the wider corridors of rugby, but yeah, he's not too happy with that call.
But I think that's something from coaches. They're obviously under the stands here talking about maybe being a bit more pragmatic, putting the ball into the corners, and Ben O'Connor had a really nice kick a couple of minutes ago, but maybe trying to get the balance there, and that's probably a hard part for the coaches in getting the message across, but the balance to do it at the right times, I think. So I think Ger Burke would prefer if his team kept the ball in hand at that stage.
Both sets of substitutes go and do their respective warm-ups as water carriers manage to get onto the field. Looks like it's Conor Foley who will receive some attention on that touchline, but we spoke about PBC being pragmatic, Johnny. They've managed the game very, very well in that they want CBC to be playing in their own half and force them out without getting them to make errors, and while they're staying disciplined, and so far it's worked very well.
It's working, but they have to score for it to work. You know, we saw the same thing in the first half where Christians had present here and they had a couple of chances at it and they never got their score. So it works when you get your score. You know, I think if you're going to kick away another couple of balls and not score, all of a sudden you're going to be starting to think maybe we should keep the ball in hand a small bit more. But interestingly, if you see the water carriers for Christians, it's all their big leaders, the two Novak brothers, Adam Rona, Aidan McCarthy. They're getting their experienced lads onto the pitch and maybe give messages into the lads to kind of pick them up a small bit as well.
The Novaks look like they'd have given Rocky Balboa a go in the day, lads.
But you look at how physical Christians are, and those 4 players that they're missing, you know, that's a half a pack of really physical players that they're already missing, and they're still very physical, you know. So obviously the way they're bred up in Sydney Hill.
Good to see them back on their feet after cruciate injuries. Casey has the ball. Scrum on the 5.
Set. Hold it steady.
Rock gets a nice little wide angle run. Met very, very well there by Alderson and O'Leary of Prez. O'Shea calls for it. Does very well in the transition from hand to foot, and it's fielded extremely well there by Colin, and O'Connor has an opportunity. The ball is thrown to Wickstead, has to check his run on his feet, but Wickstead likes to run in open country and he gets to go. Met very well by O'Shea there. Huge tackle from the Christians out half, bringing their supporters into the game. Ball carried through Cian Murphy. Alderson, the dummy runner, to O'Connor again, elects to go outside. Wickstead goes, and Lynch in third gear all day yet again, just calls for the mark. Looks so assured in everything he does. The game, lads, being played at a frantic pace, and you can start to see it there with players the way they're walking towards games, that they're starting to feel it.
I think Christians are very physical, even with Barrett and O'Shea. They're not the biggest lads on this pitch, but they're putting in ferocious hits on some of the bigger players, the bigger ball carriers for Prez.
O'Shea, a jack of all trades, has been brilliant in orchestrating CBC's attack. Their exit play, mixing it up with a fantastic defensive hit there on Wickstead. Lynch's exit from the 22 does very well to land just short of the 10-metre line. And O'Shaughnessy elects for a 4-man line out again for PBC as Michael O'Sullivan looks for his gap. They go towards the front. Ball is thrown to Murphy, to O'Leary, to Russell, running across the field a small bit. He's got Ben O'Connor on the outside, and O'Connor moves very, very well. Loftus did well to try and block the offload, but he gets it anyways. CBC do very, very well to get the tackle. Wasn't adjudged to have been early, and it's knocked on from PBC. And we'll restart with CBC, but Prez so dangerous getting from one channel to the other channel.
But you can see the logic in how they set up their plays. We've seen that play 3 times in the first half with different options chosen, and that time they got out the back, and we saw Roussel taking a wide arc here against Bunchins in the semi-final, and he got his way over the line. So you're starting to think, geez, I don't know if this fella should be running across the pitch, until it's him that's doing it, and he does a lot of damage getting the ball into Ben O'Connor's hands. Very unfortunate, but a great starter play.
I would guess the location percentage of the ball has been largely in the 90% in the 30 metres from CBC's goal, but so far they have held Prez out, and Casey feeds the scrum. Rock leaves it for him on this occasion. O'Shea, little dink over the top, and it's touched, so all onside. O'Leary Kareem does well to field in the backfield, but Prez very well moved the ball out towards the left-hand side, and O'Connor and Wickstead has got pace on the left-hand side. It's going to be a foot race here for Prez, and Wickstead in front of his fans is going to score the second try for the Wilton side this afternoon, and PBC deadly in attack.
Yeah, and I think it's just a kick choice from Christians there again. We said it in the first half, a different area of the pitch, but you know, I wouldn't like to be chipping the ball out from under my post. You see the personality from Wickstead when he's going in under the stick or over the try line there. You know, I'd like to see that from a fella in attack, but Prez unbelievably good at moving the ball when they get turnovers. Their transition attacks are really
great
good.
Pass by Liam Toohey there. I think Gene O'Leary-Cream obviously read the chip, caught it, popped it to Toohey, who would have been easy for him just to take a bit of contact, but no, he tried to force the pass, you know, get that counter-attack going straight away.
It's Michael Foy under the sticks trying to get Christians together again. You know, he's trying to be a leader in there. Obviously they got 2 scores down now. It's going to be difficult for them to come back, but hopefully they can fire a shot back in return.
Daniel Rock has gone off here now. I don't know, is that an injury or
as
tactical?
the dust settles, Daniel Rock does make way, as does Dennis Callahan for the Sydney Hill side. Harry Foster has come in the front row as O'Connor lines up the touchline. O'Connor strikes it very well, but it just tails off to the right hand side. That win there just holding the ball out, but PBC lead in this Munster Schools Senior Cup final in association with the Irish Examiner, 12 points to 0. We referenced, lads, the point that Prez led 19 points to 5 at one stage, so this game is by no stretch of the imagination over.
I think you always look at that at underage, you know, it just takes one score and all of a sudden the nerves come back in, but I think they're going to manage this one a little bit better. Hopefully I don't put the curse on them this time.
Yeah, I think they just need to keep playing now. They can't just rely on the 12 points a minute for them.
PBC, a couple of phases in their own half. To 47 minutes. Liam Toohey lands the ball. He's well met by Tom Collin. And PBC load into that ruck, but CBC do well to work back. Replacement for CBC there. Wonderful carry, O'Shea. Another little dink over the top. We saw a carbon copy of that for Barrett to score in the semi-final qualifier 6 weeks ago, but this time PBC have it, and Ben O'Connor, little chip and chase, and it's going to be a foot race here, and Casey and O'Connor get to grips with each other. Casey doing very, very well, and O'Shea decides to kick the ball as O'Connor hits the ground here on the left hand side. Murphy with the ball, breaking up here, and it just lands into touch.
Here we go now. Christians just need to go back to basics here. Maul, try and get a penalty, go to the corner again.
Referee Cross says time off as Ben O'Connor receives some attention. Game breaking up a slight bit now as Christians empty the bench. George Good and Michael Doyle.
Don't think there's anything wrong with him.
Maybe a small bit of gamesmanship going on there, but I think it was a deliberate attempt to give him a shot off the ball.
A raft of changes for CBC. Ian Dunn and Tommy Crow have decided now is the time to freshen up.
Surprised Christians aren't going for Maul here, they're going for 4 men.
Foy does very well to secure possession, but he's met very well by Toohey and Noonan. Been brilliant all afternoon, and Prez committed to getting off the line again to stop Skelly. O'Shea has the ball, carried by Prenter. O'Shea again, nice little flat pass by Leo O'Leary. Referee Cross says it's okay, and Christians eking their way into the Prez half, slowly making yards. Not held in the tackle as CBC have upped the ante here in the last minute of this Munster School Senior Cup final. 5 metres short of the 22. Casey to O'Shea. A good carry there out of Mark Skelly. O'Shaughnessy doing well to disrupt for Prez, but O'Shea goes through Foy. Shooter Coughlin doesn't quite get there, but CBC's pass goes into touch. CBC growing into the game
they're growing into the game, but I think it's starting to feel a small bit pressurised now, isn't it? The rain is coming down here. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to play, and they're going to have to force their game a small bit more, I think, to try and unlock the Prez defence. You could see there once they make the break down the left-hand touchline, their whole team was inside the first post, so they're in within about 25 metres of space, and I don't think that's going to really unlock the Prez defence.
As I said, I was surprised them in for that 4-man trick play around the front again. You know, they obviously got a lot of joy out of them all in the first half. I thought maybe, you know, get themselves back into it, get them all, try and get a penalty, go to the corner again, and, you know, maybe try and get a push over from there.
The rain is starting to fall here in Musgrave Park. As we said, we're not made Aaron qualified, so we can't just call it a sun shower. But we might see Christians go to the maul set rather than trying to play expansive with wet on the ball. We will see the tries from PBC this afternoon. Gene O'Leary, Kareem opened the scoring after 18 minutes, and James Wickstead with a wonderful burst of pace after good transition from the PBC side leaves the score 12-0 as O'Sullivan finds O'Shaughnessy. Ball is at the tail. O'Shaughnessy again showing up. He's been to the fore of everything good from PBC. A lovely little step there from James O'Leary at 12. CBC trying very hard at the breakdown to slow the ball and get the jackal. Toohey told to use it. High hanging box kick in field, and Lynch, been so assured all afternoon, takes the ball. And CBC on the move here towards the left hand side, but O'Shea does well to get the hands free, and CBC have a little gallop down the left hand touchline. They look to go out the back, carried through Skelly. It's carried by the replacement Cian Walsh.
Barrett's out in the wing here calling for the kick.
Foy certainly not going to try a cross-field kick. Casey to O'Shea. He did see him, and he has to go in. Does very well to pick that off his bootlaces, and he is isolated, and the ball was moved forward, and we will come back for a scrum. CBC turning up the heat a little bit, but so far Prez have been able to answer the questions.
Yeah, I think you're seeing some of the Christians pack really trying to put a dent in the Prez defence. I think Mark Skelly had a couple of big carries there, Conor Kennelly a couple of big carries. Cian Walsh came off the bench. I think he had a nice one going back in towards a solid defensive Prez, but they're just not really getting as much purchase as they need to get the quick ball that they need to get the score.
Michael Doyle has entered the fray, which means George Good, Cian Walsh, Harry Foster, Michael Doyle and Joseph Barrett all on the pitch early for CBC in this Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final. Referee Cross said there is 20 minutes to go. Johnny, not quite Hail Mary time. We have seen comebacks like that, but what do Christians for you need to do a little bit better to get a foothold?
I don't know. I think they need to ask a few more questions, but at the same time, Duncan spoke about their maul. I think you still have to use your strengths to try and get some score on the board and cause that nervousness inside in the Prez ranks. But I think, you'd see O'Shea trying to throw an extra pass now, and they are trying to open it up a small bit more. I think they just need to keep going with it. They're starting to get a bit of territory now, which they lacked for the first bit of the half. So maybe just stick at what they're doing for the moment. It's not Hail Mary time yet, like you said.
Yeah, I think they may feel that they need to play it to fire a shot, but like using their ball is firing a shot. If they get a bit of go forward, penalty off it or whatever, can play a bit off it.
O'Shaughnessy finds O'Leary, calls of deck from his teammates, finds O'Connor, puts the right boot through the ball, gets good distance on it again, but the danger man Barrett, and he is going to have a run back, steps outside O'Connor, met by Wickstead, but Barrett with a very good return there. Foy elects to carry, does very well to get outside the defenders of PBC. CBC stacking the left hand side, Barrett all alone on the right hand side. O'Leary, lovely little flat pass to Alex O'Connell, but the turnover through O'Leary, and Prez's policy of chop and tag has worked wonders for them. O'Shaughnessy moves it through to O'Leary, Kareem, dummy runners. Roussel goes quite well. The ball goes forward.
You just got to wonder there, Barrett obviously caught the kick, ran it back, got a bit of gain line, and then Christian slowed down to go to pot of three. It's just like any other part of the game. If you get a bit of go forward, it's on to move it. So I think they need to try and move with those 1 or 2 passes when they have those opportunities.
And in opposition to that, sorry Johnny, in opposition to that, we did see, and he highlighted it for the try, immediately the ball when he was under the sticks, he didn't elect to take the ruck, they move it. So Prez's policy to move the point of attack has worked really well for them.
Even there, when they got the poached turnover, they threw it, and they threw a couple of passes to try and get it to the edge here. I know it got pulled back for a forward pass here, but it was still on to go.
Well, I'm just amused by the coaches and Prez, Keane Bohan and Ger Burke. A bit of an outburst of emotion there. I wonder what it's about. Maybe the kick through to put pressure on, or maybe not forcing the pass as well to keep the ball in their hands. They haven't had possession for a while.
Somehow I'm guessing it's against the ref.
KC looks for O'Shea. Barrett carries well on the inside, but he's well marshalled by O'Leary. CBC again go to the power game. Foy this time tries to move it, does well. Good footwork in midfield there. CBC on the move here through Alex O'Connell, but ran down a bit of a blind alley there, and Prez managed to push them back. O'Shea keeps the ball in hand. Roussel gets to grips with him, as does Alex Alderson. The two back rowers have worked tirelessly all day, and the ball does look to have been moved. Referee Cross gets Michael Minogue out of jail good and early, shuts down any calls from the touchline for the man to see yellow. It was covered there, but CBC, Duncan Williams, as soon as you said the pods at 3, they start swinging passes and tip-ons.
Here we go now. Let's see if they'll go to the maul here, but I don't think that was a yellow card either there. I think it was in the tackle,
I think they're lucky to get a penalty on that. I think it was genuinely in the tackle, but maybe just because of the opportunity down the edge, he has to give the penalty.
George Good.
Look like they're going to the maul here, 5+, 6+.
They have Loftus and Foy at the front. They get forward. Prez do challenge in the air, but they still go around the corner, and Michael Foy goes off at a rampaging run. CBC on the front foot now. O'Shea moves the ball out the back towards O'Riordan, towards Lynch. Goes very well. Lynch carries CBC just inside the 22. PBC very narrow, but have the ball in their hands and try and transition to attack. And a knock on there. We spoke about game management, Johnny and Prez. They're staying true to what they're doing, but CBC have a real opportunity here to get themselves into the game.
Yeah, I think they're sticking true to what they do, but there's a time when you maybe just slow that down, put a bit of control on it. You can hear over the referees, Mike, that there's a lot of control going on within Prez when they are setting the exit. You can hear Liam Toohey talking to fellas, getting them to hit the deck. He knows where his kickers are around him, but it's just on transition. They're staying true to their word, like you said. They are trying to transition very fast, but I don't think the coaches agree with them at this stage.
Just the difference between Christians and Prez there when they do move the ball out to the pitch. The Prez passing is a lot more crisp, right on the money. I think Christians are just checking each other and maybe a bit more pondersome than the Prez lads who are coming onto the ball at pace with nice skills.
But I think the frustrating thing about this is that you can see the Christians are well able to play the game, and now that the pace has come up, they're actually causing Prez a little bit of trouble. You're starting to get defenders looking both ways at the moment, and I think if they started the game like this, it's classic hindsight, but if they started the game that fast, I think there'd be a score on the board at this stage.
KC feeds the Boyle. Foy is at 8. Charlie O'Shea stands on the left hand side. They elect to go with that. They've got runners on the inside and outside, and CBC are definitely through the gap, but Ben O'Connor is off on a gallop here. The big man off on the run. Will he be caught on the inside? Ben Lynch is on and makes a wonderful tackle and brings him down, but not held. O'Connor has gone the leg to the field, but he's in touch, and he might be a big man, Johnny Holland, but he stretched those legs and went 80 metres, but Ben Lynch, to his credit, tracked him down and caught him.
But the most frustrating thing there was actually a massive gap for Christians on that pass. If the ball went to hand, they might have been scoring their own try. But Ben Lynch, I thought he was actually again in second gear. He was like Alex Dombrand on the edge. I thought he was never going to go for him, but he obviously knew what was going on. He was right in line with Ben O'Connor. He didn't want to give him the inside. He kept him on his outside. Really good tackle, especially when there's a little bit of a difference in physicality. The Christians' technical defending has been really good.
Joseph Barrett.
I thought he'd actually given up, but to be fair, he only gave him one side to go to, and he made the tackle.
O'Shaughnessy steals the ball for Prez, and there's advantage for a high tackle. PBC can smell blood in the CBC 22 here as O'Shaughnessy yet again shows up for his team. Toohey to Murphy, showing goes his options inside and outside. Thomas McCarthy, powerlifting champion. O'Leary Kareem again, dancing feet met by the CBC defence, who stay committed to their job, and Toohey plays the man who is a lazy offside runner, and they come back for the high tackle. And you'd have to imagine here They'll try and make it a 3-score game, but O'Shaughnessy with the ball in his hand stands over it. No decision made as of yet.
Quick tap here, I think, or a tap and go, but I'd like to have seen them put that to a 3-score game and get Ben O'Connor standing over that.
O'Shaughnessy moves it out to O'Leary. O'Leary so strong in the tackle, eking forward. PBC load on both sides. Alderson looks to get the ball, but it's O'Leary Kareem again. The ball moves back. Barrett hacks about it at Russell. Has got Wickstead outside, and Wickstead moves in for PBC. A long way to go here, but that could very well mean that the cup is on its way to Wilton, and PBC again, Johnny, stay true to their word with a quick tap, and albeit fortuitously come away with 5 and possibly 7.
Yeah, and I know they might be laughing at me saying that I wanted them to go to the post, but that was very fortuitous, I think. You know, the mistake was made. Christians get a fly hack onto the ball and just they didn't really get the reward that their defence deserved. You know, I think that was slightly fortuitous for Prez, but you know, over the course of the game, I think they were always the ones going to put the pressure on to score a few more points in the second half. But again, you look at some of the players in the Prez team, some of the lads that have lost the final last year. I think they're ready to win this one, and you can see that score is going to go a long way, I think, to finishing the game.
CBC will look to make additional changes as the messages go to PBC. They know, having played against Munchins in the semi-final, and this very Christians team with around the same time left in that semi-final qualifier.
You've got to wonder now how big a toll those injuries from the previous rounds are taking for Christians now. As we mentioned, you know, Rona, Aidan McCarthy, the Novaks. You know, going into the last 15-20 minutes of this game, they will be big players for them.
O'Connor lines up the conversion from the second Wickstead try in a very similar position. I imagine it started towards the left post, with the wind blowing across for a right-footed kicker. Doesn't quite catch it as well as he would have hoped, but PBC won't mind too much. With about 10 minutes to go on the clock, Wickstead's second try has them 17 points to the good. And Johnny, I think it is Hail Mary time now for CBC.
Absolutely, you know, you might as well lose by more now as opposed to never give it a crack. So they're going to have to try something. I think it's within them to get a score here, but you know, they're really going to have to come up with something.
O'Shaughnessy takes it over his shoulder from O'Shea's restart. Captain has been unbelievably impressive this afternoon and all throughout the cup campaign. Toohey sends it high, and O'Shea, so elusive with the ball, does very, very well, O'Shea. But it's knocked down in the tackle, and Prez again will look to move, and O'Connor is in the mood to play and keeps the ball alive to O'Leary Kareem, and Wickstead is on a hat-trick here, and he's not going to be caught on the right-hand side, and Wickstead will be remembered for a long, long time to come in Wilton. A hat-trick in the Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final, and you have to think, Johnny, that is that.
Absolutely, I think it was game over on the last one. You know, Prez are starting to enjoy this one. I think you saw the personality of Wickstead again going in to get that, but I'll go back to it. Gene O'Leary Kareem, I think the technical ability there to square up, keeps dummying the ball, and he's square there all the time, and he gives the opportunity to...
But he keeps going up, blocking off
any chance of Michael Foy
getting back on.
So he gives no chance to the defence to cover it. I think he's a very clever player, and I think a lot of that goes understated.
O'Leary Kareem won't be paying for my waddies anytime soon, judged by his play, but he's been super impressive all afternoon. And Wickstead will have to search through the history books to see the last hat-trick in the Senior Cup final.
Pat McCarthy, was it? Christians? Back in...
Answers on a postcard, please.
I would say mid-90s.
You're showing her age, Duncan Williams.
He was a cult hero. He was a scrum half for Christians.
PBC calling the replacements as O'Connor lines up the conversion. Scored 5 tries against CBC in the last 26-25 here 6 weeks ago. 4 tries this afternoon. As O'Connor lands that through the posts. And PBC take an unassailable 24 points to nil lead here in this Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final in association with the Irish Examiner. It's a tough place to be for CBC lads, but I don't like the cliches, but a scoreline, it hasn't reflected the game really.
No, it hasn't reflected it, but you know what? At least they're not going away saying, if I had done this and if I had done that. Prez are more dominant here. They've had more opportunities. I think they're well deserving of it. Christians obviously won't be very happy with it, but, you know, if it was a missed pass in the corner or something like that, you know, they're going to be ruining that for a long time. So, you know, in one way, it's nearly better to go this way as well. Tui
finds O'Connor. Sends the ball back and it bounces over the head. CBC elect to go deep into the half. Wickstead moves the ball backwards and O'Connor sends the ball down towards O'Shea. PBC moving the ball along. O'Shea, brilliant player is O'Shea.
Nice.
Wonderful individual play from O'Shea here, the out half, with Christians not giving up the fight. And O'Shea is in front there, a wonderful little bit of play from the orchestrator for Christians.
But this is what I mean, he's such a slippery customer. He's really good in attack. If you had him out the back of the pot of forwards at the pot of three at the start of the game and getting a couple of passes like you see Ireland do with Johnny Sexton, I think he would have caused an awful amount of trouble. Very easy for me to say up here, but I think if they got another couple of passes in that first half, they'd have caused Prez a lot more trouble.
Yeah, that's what we spoke about. We'll be able to just get that pass an extra channel wider, makes the defend fold more, or just make a decision whether to fold or stay, and creates bigger gaps.
Oscar Squires, number 19, makes his way into the fray for PBC, replacing Cian Murphy, who's been brilliant all afternoon. Ben O'Connor has the ball in his hands with a cannon of a boot and lands PBC just outside the 22 of CBC, and Prez in no mood to let up here, lads.
No, and he's the kind of player that I think if you're standing on the Christian side now, you know, you're going to start hating him a small bit, because his confidence just growing and growing and growing. Every time they're getting a score, you know, he's getting chirpier and chirpier, and he's really enjoying himself now. That's the best kick of the day, I think.
Ger Burke and Bowser hounding the touch judge for the time left. I don't know what they're getting so nervous about.
There's an overthrow, and CBC move it towards the outside with Barrett, and he looks to get outside. Barrett does very well, but O'Leary Kareem brilliant on both sides of the ball. CBC elect to go quickly, told not to play. O'Leary Kareem makes the tackle. O'Shaughnessy has a bite. It's carried by Harry Foster, the replacing the Christians.
Again, it was on to go wide there. Christians just wasting the phase.
Charlie O'Shea sends the ball through, and CBC have enough players in the backfield to mark O'Connor's kick. Minute and a half left on the clock here, and O'Connor does well. His PBC side still working right to the very end, as are Christians, and Foy moves the ball outside. CBC down towards the left-hand side touchline. Counter from PBC is fine, says referee Cross. And CBC again going through the phases. O'Shea again met very well by O'Leary Kareem. Christians again carrying. O'Shea dinks it in behind. O'Connor has it well marked. Takes the ball.
Retreat out of 10.
Sends it up into the sky. Well marked by CBC again, and O'Shea has a look for where Barrett is. Tackle comes in from Tom Collin. PBC have been dogged all afternoon, and that will turn into a penalty for PBC.
On the floor by 6. Knock on first in hands.
You know, it's obviously been a tough day for CBC, but you know, in fairness to their coaches as well, they've made all their changes. They've tried to make something happen, and I think in the other games they made their changes quite early as well. You know, they don't just wait and see what happens. They are trying to make a positive change, and everyone's got some time on the pitch as well.
O'Connor, again another huge kick, this time landing into the CBC half, as John Wigington Barrett and Oscar Nagel enter the fray for PBC. Scott Kelleher and George O'Keefe warming up as well. Ball not straight. We're at the discretion of Owen Cross here. You will not see a more relaxed Ger Burke or Cian Bohan at any stage in a cup competition than right now.
I think Ger Burke is showing his experience here, making one change at a time. It's really disrupting the clock and running it down.
PBC fans eagerly anticipate the full-time whistle here in the left-hand touchline. Security are going to have some job in trying to keep them off the pitch towards the end of the game.
Okay. The problem is you're pre-engaged. Keep the space. Don't say anything after the whistle, okay? Up and left. Space to work into on the bowling call.
Tough to beat Schools Cup final day, lads.
It is. It looks like it's going to be all crack here on the left-hand side of us, but I think just Liam Toohey coming off the pitch there, you know, another very understated game with all the big stars in the Pres team. There's a couple of fellas within that make it click, and I think he's definitely one of them.
Okay, hold the push, right?
Ball goes to ground. O'Shea tasked with cleaning it up. Does well, hits Barrett out on the right-hand side. O'Leary Kareem has him one-on-one, but Barrett manages to get outside the clutches. Ball stays in play for now, as CBC managed to drag Pres into touch. CBC will restart. 3 minutes to play here in the Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final. The pitch invasion will have to wait, as Ruben Skuse, George O'Keefe enter the fray for Pres. Fionn Roussel exchanging pleasantries with a few of the Christians players as they get ready to throw into the line-out. They go towards the front, just about 5 there, well taken by the replacement Michael Doyle of Christians, but the turnover is good from PBC. Roussel passes to O'Shaughnessy, they go out the back, and Wickstead kicks to Barrett. Barrett moves it outside to O'Shea. O'Shea is the ball out towards the left-hand touchline, towards Cal Murphy, and there'll be advantage played for that. Doyle again, the replacement, carries for CBC. O'Shea. Barrett dinks in behind, lands on O'Connor, but it will be a penalty for a high tackle. The Pres Games Master is playing Moses, trying to stop people. The parting of the Red Sea down to the left-hand side. As O'Shea dinks the ball into the corner. A rare entry for CBC within 5 metres. I think this, by my calculations, is the first time in the second half that they have got 5 metres from the line. Daniel Foley for PBC comes into the fray.
The ref hasn't seen the sub coming on here.
They go short to Foy. CBC looking to finish on a high here. Foster leaves it for Barrett. Carries well. Jack O'Callaghan tells his forwards to carry again, and Doyle manages to go through. PBC adjudged to have been offside. CBC George Good leaves the ball on the ground. Cian Walsh tasked with going forward and goes. Good carry from Walsh. CBC move the ball out through Foy. O'Leary trying to get stuck in. Foy met very well by that PBC defence as they try and get towards the line of the space on the left hand side. O'Shea manages to throw the ball, tries to go himself, but the PBC defence stands firm. And as they have all afternoon, on a scoreline of 24 points to nil in this Pinergy Munster School Senior Cup final, the cup will return to Wilton. A phenomenal performance from Prez. Johnny, sum it up for us this afternoon.
Oh, I think their backline was all class, but obviously it's made up front, and I think they were just really assured throughout the whole game. If you look at 12 to 15, I think they've got a sheer class in their backline, but like I said, I think it's facilitated from the inside, the set piece from the inside, but I think they're well deserving of their win. I think they knocked on the door last year, they were disappointed, so you can see the celebrations here. They're quite happy with themselves, and so they should be.
Yeah, I think as you mentioned, Johnny, there, Liam Toohey and Harry Murphy, they had great games. Yes, the 12-13, Ben O'Connor and Wickstead are all going to get all the headlines, but they facilitated these lads. They put them in the right places to let them show their class.
12 players, lads, that took that field for Prez hadn't played in a senior final before. Only 3 guys from last year. You can single out the players as you said there, but it's a testament to how good a job Ger Burke and Cian Bohan have done with this Prez team. No fear whatsoever.
No fear, they stuck to the way they play the game, and I think you can actually see subtle things across their game that really makes it tick. Like you see James O'Leary in the middle of the pitch, I've spoken about him a good few times, but small things like how he places the ball from the ruck, he's going as far back as he can to make that ball as quick as he can, and then the way his cousin is his centre partner, the way he can square up, the way he just that little bit of IQ that he's pumping the ball so the defender bites in on him, and then he gives the pass to someone like James Wickstead with all the power on the edge. But there's so much stuff inside there that you can see really comes from the coaches. It's just a really well-oiled machine going into a cup final, I think.
Yeah, we spoke before the game, about big games and big game mentality. Obviously, Shaughnessy and O'Connor have played in Cork minor finals and won. I think they were captains either side of it as well. So, they're just born, winners, I suppose. Kind of some people, they win no matter what they do, and these two seem to have that.
In terms of CBC, lads, obviously a difficult afternoon for them. O'Shea and Foy to the fore. Obviously, the likes of Rona and a couple of other players that were missing, but even though it was 24-0, they can still hold their heads up high for a super campaign.
Yeah, I think Danny Rock, had a good game. I think Jack Casey did well at 9. He was tenacious. He was in every breakdown looking for poaches. We said Benjamin Lynch, he had a great tackle, was always calm and composed. Unfortunately, Gavin O'Riordan went off early, and as you said, Rona and McCarthy, the 2 Novaks, did a lot of injuries as well. So, unfortunately, that came back to bite them in the end.
In terms, Johnny, of I know you said you didn't play schools rugby, but looking at the pictures here on the pitch for those PBC players, this is going to live long in the memory for those, and for the guys who were in first year in PBC, this is where they're going to want to be. So an unbelievable day for PBC all around.
Oh, it is, and I think the support here is class for schools rugby. You can see the amount of people on the pitch, albeit they probably shouldn't be on there, but it's something that definitely lives with you. The young fellas supporting their 6th years, their 5th years, they're going to want to be in the same place, and I think as long as the tradition of schools rugby lives on like this, you're going to get a good production of rugby players coming out of Cork and coming out of these 2 schools.
Duncan, a tough day, I suppose, for CBC. We said the players can hold their heads up high, but in terms of the game and looking at it, if they kind of looked at the last 20 minutes the way that they played openly, could it have been a different afternoon?
Yeah, I think they got a bit unlucky. Obviously, we said in the first half they were on the Prez 5-metre line and gave away a few turnovers, made a few errors. Then they were attacking to get back in the game up inside the Prez 22 here in the second half. Ben O'Connor gets the breaking ball and gets up, and they end up scoring off that then eventually. So, look, they had their chances, things didn't go their way, and maybe they got a bit unlucky as well, but Prez capitalised on this and made the most of it.
But I think that's the thing, you could be talking about your Ben Lynch, your Mark Skelly, your O'Shea, you could be talking about all these guys as well at the final whistle. If they had gotten over in that period of time that Duncan's talking about, there was a bit of a crossing with Michael Foy, and if that didn't happen, and they go 7-all and they go into half time, this could be a very different game. So I think they deserve a lot of credit for the way they played the game, getting to the final, playing their campaign. There's a lot of good players on that side as well.
The PBC supporters are being shepherded off the pitch. Captain Rory O'Shaughnessy will be lifting the trophy very, very soon for the Wilton side. And lads, I must say I'm very jealous I'm still not in school.
I don't think it matters. I think there's a lot of adults on the pitch now as well. I think they're all starting to join in.
Some of the parents are enjoying it more than the actual the students. I see Frankie Sheehan's out there making the most of it. Not sure what involvement he had, but he's there.
Recruiting.
Yeah, that's it.
Recruitment and that.
Pendulum Summit next year is going to feature the Prez senior team.
As we wait for Captain Rory O'Shaughnessy to lift the trophy, let's speak a little bit about him, lads. Obviously, Johnny, from his perspective, he played at 12 last year. Ger Burke and Cian Bohan said at the start of the year they felt they were a little bit inexperienced in the pack. They needed him to stand up and be counted, just to measure and a mark of the man, to go from 12 to 8. He has been in Interpro jerseys at 12, but to go into 8 and to have the performance he's had through the whole cup campaign, culminating in today's, speaks volume of the young guy.
Yeah, and I think that's something that was said about Prez, is that they didn't have the pack to go on and support that backline in winning a cup. But obviously they've made a genius move there with O'Shaughnessy going in at 8. Obviously he has the talent and the ability to play probably in a couple more positions as well. But he actually reminds me of Luke Cahill, who played with Cork for quite a while. He's got a similar stature. I think both of them could play 12 and 8 very, very easily, you know. So, but he's after driving this team onto a different level. I think if you look at his ability in the line-out, he looks like he's been in the line-out all his life. So I think he's taken up that role very well, and I think they've got leaders throughout the pitch, starting with him, but there's a couple more there as well.
But he was obviously born with natural ability, and his athleticism, you know, means he can play anywhere. You can play here anywhere in that 1 to 15, and he'd stand out.
The victorious PBC team are somewhere within that mall of fans and players. As we said, we will be bringing you the trophy lift from PBC in just a few moments' time, but they're well and truly allowed bask in their own glory. Looking at the competition overall, lads, obviously with the format, PBC have gone the long way around the standard throughout the competition that we've seen, the 2 games that we've covered in the semi-finals, the replays with CBC and Comp. The direction the teams are going and wanting to play rugby bodes very, very well for the future.
Yeah, I think it has. In the games that I've seen throughout the competition, the attacking rugby has actually been very good. And I think the difference in cup games now is that they actually have back doors. They've got a second chance to play more games. I think more games is all you want really for these guys. I know they're going to be celebrating a cup, but I think for rugby in general, we need to get these guys playing more games, developing them a bit better with more opportunities. And I was speaking to a couple of the Christians lads in the last couple of weeks, and they had to go through a replay, and I think the thought process was, at least we get another game, you know, and they won that thankfully, but they got another game to put on their jersey, especially for fellas in 6th year. You know, you're not going to get too many chances to do that, so it's great to see them playing so many games. But obviously you know, you're seeing the celebrations here. It's nicer to get the cup at the end of it, but you know, playing so much rugby and the quality that we've seen, it's been really positive.
The unique opportunity, Duncan, bringing back memories in 2003, but it's something that these guys will hold on both sides. Even though CBC have lost, it's the last time a lot of the guys in 6th year will wear the jersey, so Munster Schools Cup rugby is a special occasion.
Yeah, look, I think the games we had, like even the ones we did, the quarters and semis, they were entertaining games. I think previously there was a couple of years there where they were 3-0, 6-0. You know, I think they've approached the game properly. They're trying to win the game. They're going to attack. You know, they're looking to score tries as opposed to just maybe not lose the game, which is maybe a part of only having one chance, whereas the back door gives you a second chance now, so you can have that bit of freedom to attack as opposed to going into your shell and not wanting to lose the game.
There may be some teachers on both sides needing classes to be covered tomorrow morning, I would imagine, on that side. But just a word, a word on Cian Bohan and Ger Burke. Ger Burke, obviously a Limerick man, AIL with Young Munsters, has been involved in a 2017 Cup win, a 2019 loss, a 2020 share, heartbreak in a final last year. They've worked very, very hard with this group, and they deserve a lot of praise.
I think they do deserve a lot of praise because, you know, we know those lads quite personally, and I think, you know, the way they conduct themselves, the way they get the buy-in from the players, you can see that, you know, they're all the players look like they are playing for them. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but like it looks like there's a lot of love going on at the moment, but I think that's the way they treat the players. You know, they treat them like adults. They give them the freedom to play the game, and I think they're fully deserving of their win. Obviously Ger has a lot of credit in this competition, you know, Cian playing there as well and still playing the game, so I think they offer young fellas a lot in terms of their development, getting them up to speed to play a really positive game and win the cup at the back end of it. So it's really good to see it. Two good guys.
PBC setting up to form a tunnel for CBC before Rory O'Shaughnessy lifts the trophy here. As we said, 24 points to 0. The final score, Gene O'Leary Kareem scored after 18 minutes to bring it to 7-0 at half time, and Prez didn't look back in the second half. A hat-trick from James Wickstead. Has the Wilton Hillside draw level, a statistic that I was reading during the week. CBC 31 titles, Pres had 30. So it's level at 31 apiece. So Wickstead will be remembered as the man in the hat-trick that brought the Wilton side level with the Sydney Hillside.
The hat-trick that'll live on as a result.
Yeah. The players though, lads, they seem a lot older and more experienced, and that's across the board. We've name-checked a lot of guys, but it's seriously impressive to see on both sides those guys perform the way they did.
I was thinking this morning, I knew we were obviously coming over here today, and I was trying to think what I was doing at James O'Leary's age at 16, or some of these lads at 17. I wasn't anywhere near physically as developed as that. I wasn't as good at rugby. I think they've got such an opportunity now to really kick on in the game, but you can see the level that the cup is going to now, and you know, we spoke with the level that the game's been played at. I think that's the way rugby is going at the moment. If you look at the Six Nations, the top 3 teams playing all the rugby, but you know, you can see it emulated here. Coming down to such a young age, I think it's class. You know, you'd love to be in their position, getting the opportunity that they're getting.
The media office have given the thumbs up, but PBC and Ben O'Connor are in the mood for a few more photos, I think, before lifting the trophy for PBC, a moment that's going to live long in the memory of each and every one of these squad members, parents, brothers, sisters, partners.
They should delay this as long as they can. Soak it in. You think they come around every year. When you get to our age, they don't come around that often.
I think there's plenty of people who want to get the last race and Cheltenham in as well, Johnny, so we might move it on.
They can go away. These lads are going to stay, I think.
Rory O'Shaughnessy still dishing out the orders as captain post whistle. He will move up the steps.
First of all, let's get a huge cheer for Pres. Please welcome Munster Branch President, Gerald McNamara. Congratulate the whole team for the fantastic game today. Fantastic derby match. The supporters of both sides, your behaviour was fantastic. The atmosphere you created was second to none. The referee went across and his officials, brilliant game, no controversy, no decisions to argue with. So congratulations. Schools rugby is a special sport, and today's huge crowd shows up the demand and the interest in it. Not everyone can play rugby, but there's a place for everyone. Alligadoos, officials and referees. You could be the next Joy, Neville or Frank Murphy here in the stadium today, so think about it. Finally, I'd like to congratulate and thank the examiner for streamlining the game. I have friends abroad who are watching this today as well as all over Munster, so well done. So, well done to PBC, congratulations, commiserations to CBC. It's a tough day, but keep the faith. Thank you all.
And right now I will call on Joe McNamara to present the referee's medal to Owen Cross, and let's give him a big round of applause as well. Right now, can I call on the mother of the winning captain, that's Maeve O'Shaughnessy, and I'll also call on Damien Boylan of Pinergy. And Damien Boylan of Pinergy will present the cup to the winning mothers, or the captain, the mother of the winning captain.
venues and the refs and everything. They did an unreal job today, and they just create such special days like today, so big round of applause for them. Second, Christians, you're an unbelievable side. We saw that earlier in the competition. He outskilled us again. If you're a serious side, hold your head up. Your score does not reflect the game. You're a serious squad. To the 900 odd supporters out there, you're a credit to your school. You fucking drove us on there when we needed you most. So thanks a million. I cannot thank you enough. It's way more than just inside the four walls of the dressing room. It's the whole school. So from all the teachers, from Mr. Barry, the principal, to Mr. Regan and Mr. Donoghue, the vice principals, to every single teacher and staff in the school, I want to thank you so much for the atmosphere you created in the school and just the special days you created. So thank you very much. Especially the extended panel we didn't get on today. It's every bit as much of a comfy. I can say hand on heart, we would not be here without you, so I thank you so much. Mr. Burke, Mr. Mahan, Mr. Mahan, Kieran O'Regan and Don Buckley, I cannot thank you enough. The commitment you gave all year was second to none, and we would not be here without you, so I thank you so much. And also a special mention to Barry the caretaker, Mike the physio, the likes of Mr. McMahon and Mr. O'Keefe. Everything you do behind the scenes just makes days like today happen. We're so thankful again. The kind of school team, there was a member of our school, a teacher, a friend, and a friend from nearly everyone in school. So I'd like to nominate or dedicate this trophy to Mr. Caleb Sheehan. And to the parents as well as all the mothers and dads. All the list of training and the constant support throughout the year. We'll make sure we celebrate today with you as much as a team. So thank
So there we have it, the Pinergy Munster Schools Senior Cup final winners in 2023, PBC of Cork, who've beaten CBC in the final. My thanks to Duncan Williams and Johnny Holland and all the production team with the Irish Examiner and Stream Sport. Thanks for tuning in and have a very happy St. Patrick's Day.